Stop. Okay, we can't keep doing this the whole
What?
podcast. You're gonna make Josh cry.
People want to see it.
Do we want to? I'm not like. Were we gonna pretend we're reading this and not going like, oh wow, Josh.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we usually review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. But in today's episode, we're doing another volume done. But not just any volume done. We're doing our Part 2 Goodnight Punpun Punpun video. My name is Josh, emotionally distraught Michaels. And today, as always, I'm joined by...
Megan Sadbird Perrine.
Cody Goodnight Decker.
You could have just said Cody Decker. It's already sad enough.
Yeah, which I did.
Good Lord.
Very relatable moments in this.
Yeah.
I was excited to talk about it with especially you, Josh.
Yeah, dude, it's
I'm
going to get
scared
real
to
dark.
talk about
Yeah,
it
it's
with
going to get
both
dark.
of
As you can see, I'm rocking my Uncle Yuichi cosplay right
Totally.
now, which is something I think if you're a cosplayer, you'd want to avoid.
Yeah, I was like, creep included?
Because he was like the cool uncle for a
He
bit.
was.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, but you root for characters and you're like, dude, you fucked up.
Yeah, I rooted for him, and then I didn't, and I rooted for him again.
And then I didn't.
And then I rooted for him the least amount of everyone.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited to talk about this. This has been a long time coming. If you haven't seen our Volume 1 of Goodnight Punpun yet, then you can click somewhere up here and check that out. A lot of people have been requesting that we do this, and we've been wanting to do this, but we had to make sure we were emotionally prepared to do it, because after Fire Punch, believe it or not, we were a little emotionally exhausted.
Can we just talk about like magic schools and stuff for a bit?
Yeah, we did talk about
We talked a lot about magic.
Yeah.
I was looking back, I was like, wow, like everyone has been about magic, but hey.
Oh, I wonder who's been in charge of those decisions.
Huh.
I wonder too.
I wonder who's like
The Oneers
reached
have been in
out.
charge. They've been helping us decide what we review next.
Oh yeah, each
Yeah.
week.
Each week. Okay, so let's get into it. I don't want to linger too much on Volume 1 because you can just check that video out. But where we left off last time, and look, I feel like I have to say trigger warning or whatever. I mean, if you're someone who's suffering with any form of depression or if
anxiety,
you're just,
adultery,
I mean,
sin.
sin. If you're a sinner,
If you're a sinner, don't watch this.
yeah, just be careful. I mean, obviously be aware that there will be spoilers for volumes 2 through 7, chapters 13 through 78. And, just if you're someone who's going through something right now, maybe come back to this when you're feeling a little bit better, because this will not, I don't think, help you if you're kind of...
Although I think it would. I think it is, at least in my experience, like it's nice to like know that like someone sympathize, like is also can relate to feelings of depression and loneliness.
I think it definitely can help, but I think
it doesn't
hurt.
help you. It doesn't help you get out of that mood.
Yeah.
But it does help you get through the mood.
Yeah. So I guess before we go like into it, after just reading Volume 1, that was already pretty fucked up. I think there were some things that were happening in Punpun's life that were already kind of hard to read. And the thing about this series is like, from the first volume, I felt like I've been a voyeur, kind of like peeking into someone's life, and I shouldn't be. Like that's how intimate this series feels. Like I feel like I'm literally in a peephole looking through on this kid's life, and I shouldn't be here. I'm like, I shouldn't. That's how I feel. I feel uncomfortable.
I assume that the stories and events in this are at least based on real life situations the authors like encountered or heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so just like realistic and like raw.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is someone's like life. Like it's not like a character that you can kind of see the bigger picture and see where they're going and see how they're going to be led. It's like, no, like there's just things that happen in his life that like just make him the way he is, and then that you can't change it after it's already cemented. So you're just seeing these important things happen to him in his life that are like milestones that are just fucking him up like gradually as the series goes on, and it's like everything was because of this, everything was because of this, and it's just like, oh, this
And also-
is realistic as fuck.
It's
I enjoyed the first volume more because like it went over like sadder, more serious things, but it also had like a whimsy to it that which I get that is the point, but like I just like I still enjoyed it more when they would have like sort of like the idea of adults through a child's eyes and how their behavior seems weird. Yeah. And then like that teacher who's like going through the like kind of cartoonishly behaving.
Yeah.
So like that starts to go away, and I get that that's part of what it's doing, but like it was less of a like cycles of emotion for me to go through. It was sort of just, and we're gonna keep going down here.
Yeah, I think for me it really peaked. I mean, the story peaked, and peaked feels like the wrong word, but
beaked.
Yeah, it really peaked at. First of all, the English released volumes there's 2 volumes per. So even though this is volume 2, it's volumes 3 and 4 that are in here. So I think it was around 3 or 4 that I really started to, become extremely invested emotionally in this story. Also, too, real quick about the author, this has to come from some form of personal experience on one level or another. But there's something interesting about the way that he combats this really emotional story with humor at the end of each volume. Like, I don't know if you've gotten to the end and seen the letters that he's received from fans. And some of them talk about, and they're all like, I can't tell if they're real letters or if they're like, things that he's just making up, because they're so absurd and they're so funny. But it's almost like a defense mechanism. Like, he's using humor, because like I feel like you have to, right? When you're telling a story this raw, like you were saying, and this real, like you have to use humor to kind of.
Josh, are you saying you're unfamiliar with the idea of using humor to mask?
No. But I'm saying it's interesting that he's choosing to do that at the end. And my point is that you have to do that, I feel like.
Well, there's a lot of things in this manga that are just like absurdly like funny when they shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. Like some of the things that Punpun says just like out of nowhere, you like laugh because it's so ridiculous and so horrible. Like, what are you even thinking about right now? Yeah. Like some of it's just like insane, and like the faces, like they shouldn't be funny, but they're funny. Like I feel like he sprinkles it in just to make you feel a little relieved.
Well, yeah.
Like,
well, because and I guess my real point in bringing that up is I don't know if Cody, you've ever told like a joke on stage that was supposed to be but at its core, yeah, he's never made anybody laugh. Megan, that was a good one.
Thank you.
Solid. I have no recourse here.
And it was supposed to be funny. In your mind, you thought it was funny, but then when you say it, the audience reacts by going, "Aw."
I have had the opposite reaction where, like, because my dad was like, when I first started doing stand-up, he was like, "I got a joke for you. Your grandma wanted to abort me, but she couldn't afford it. You should do that on stage."
That's it.
And I did, and it never went bad. I was always like, I don't get it. Like, I told my dad I would do this on stage, and people liked it. Because I mean, there was more to the joke, but like that's the joke. Is like,
yeah.
So that's like where I'm at financially. I don't.
Pretty funny. I guess what I'm saying then is just like, I feel like that's done also because when I read this, Megan, in our private messages, you were saying that it made you cry. In our private group message.
Right. Yeah, we message each other, not with you.
Yeah, we need a break.
I'm just kidding.
We need a break. Just kidding.
Don't touch me.
Yeah. Sorry.
You were saying that you were crying.
Yeah, I cried like 2 times.
I want to know what parts those were at, by the way. But for me, like, I obviously you guys know my history with crying, and that I don't.
You just
cry.
don't do it.
You cry vicariously, and I empathize with this. I did not reach emotional peaks with it.
But that's kind of what I wanted to say too. I agree. Although I didn't cry, I did feel for him, but it's almost like in a way I felt like a kindred spirit with him, and I was like, I know what lies ahead for him, because like I feel like maybe not exactly, but I've been in places he's been, and I when I read it, I kind of feel like I know what lies ahead. So I don't want to cry for him. I hurt for him.
Okay, the 2 times that I cried, I didn't cry for him.
Oh my God.
Punpun is not my favorite character.
Whoa.
He is not the best person. I feel bad for him, sure, but I'm not rooting for him.
You're not rooting for him?
No, actually, I think I know what there is like, a character that I'm like, I prefer this person's story and the way they handle things, and I even like, I got more emotional about them than I did about
Who is
Punpun.
it?
It's his like friend.
Seki?
Oh.
Yeah.
Seki
I like the
is
friend, but I also, I don't know. I really, really, really liked towards the end was Mama Punpun.
Oh, I mean,
I liked her story, and I liked the build up and like her explanations for things. Like obviously she was a bitch to Punpun, and like she is not a good mom.
Yeah.
But like fuck, so real.
There's one thing at the very end where I'm like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's the 2 times I cried. I was like, fuck, dude. Like so many just regrets in your life that you have to come towards and like try to figure out, and like everyone's just a human and people make mistakes, and one mistake could just have that person out of your life forever just because you fucked up, and it's like, damn, that sucks.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy. Well, let's just get into it then. So
let's just jump right in.
Okay, a little too positive. So where we left off at the end of Volume 1 was that they were at the abandoned miso factory, and they knew someone was there, and that person ended up being this girl who was in there drawing and had blood on her face. And she said that she was abused by her father. Now, what I did not know is that apparently that girl is the girl who Punpun is introduced to later at the art gallery and then again at the bar.
Oh, the glasses girl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it was weird where they focus
sister.
on them. Like,
Yeah. No, the sister's friend.
Oh, I thought that was her sister too.
No.
I thought it was the
Oh.
girl that went to that museum. That I thought they said that's her sister.
Her sister was the kind of heavier weight one with the with the beautiful, the beautiful one. Her sister was the beautiful one. Thank you. Her sister was the beautiful one.
Yes.
And
God, good God. Yes, her sister.
and that was her
they were
sister's
both
friend.
okay, that was her sister's friend. Okay, we got
Yeah.
it. We could
Thanks,
have just said sister's friend. We didn't have to go into anywhere. But okay. So the stories intertwine.
Yeah, and that's something that continues to happen,
Destinies.
and it becomes this like cyclical sort of like story of perpetuating this like cycle of.
It's like
pain.
a Punpun.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's like a Punpun.
Yeah.
Life's greatest Punpun. And so after that, a lot of things happen in this part of the story that Cody, you said that you were connecting with his younger years. I kind of wanted to get through it.
And with the uncle.
Yeah, the uncle was.
We were rooting for his ass, huh?
Yeah.
Volume 2 was a lot of the uncles.
Oh my God.
I mean, the uncle is one of my favorite stories. I mean, it's weird again saying favorite because of what happens, but it's such an emotionally absurd and crazy and it's painful and horrifying story that I've never experienced before. I mean, I had a visceral reaction.
You've never experienced in media or your life?
Oh my God.
Cody, neither.
Cody,
Because I would say there's like moments where it's like this is like this type of situation. It's like if every negative aspect of this type of relationship from like you heard from like 10 different people was condensed into one relationship. That's how it felt with him.
I get that.
It was pretty fucked up.
But before we get there, I have a few questions, and I want to know how you guys interpreted things, because we're at the abandoned miso factory. There's Shimuzu, the kid who always has the snot coming out of his nose.
I love him.
And
he's so pure, precious.
there's a part in this portion of the story where he is seeing his poop god everywhere, and this happens throughout the story. He has this connection with this being that he thinks is God. I mean, do you guys, when you read that, and the farther into the story you get, and again, for people watching at home, I'm an idiot. What does that represent to you guys? Like, what do you think that is?
I think it's a reflection of how Punpun sees God as that smiling guy. And then how Punpun is also drawn as a doodle. And then this guy, he sees God as another childish doodle.
And it's like, your interpretation of like what your God is to you.
Yeah.
And what like he can do for you. Like it's all interpreted like differently. Like Punpun's God doesn't do shit for him, and he knows that. and the poop god does everything for this kid. He really believes in him, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna be saved, like I can just follow you, like I'm totally down with it. And I don't know like if that's actually true, because he does have like a moment later on that is like supernatural, so I don't know if he can see things that other people can't necessarily see. I don't know if that's like a thing or he's just using it just to his imagination. But
And there might be something about how Punpun is like, he's a doodle, and his god is like a hyper realistic head, and then the snot-nosed kid, he's a realistic character, but his god is cartoonish.
Yeah.
So I think it's a nice parallel and contrasting with how people see themselves and their gods.
Yeah, and back to the supernatural thing too. Like I don't know if there's. Oh my God, Cody.
bro, and next time you drop that,
Oh my God, hold your phone.
just put it right here.
I don't know if there is a supernatural
slippery.
element. If this is gonna turn out to be a real thing. It's gonna turn out to be just like kind of an
'cause-
interpretation.
I think because
Yeah.
Punpun's
people's
god,
beliefs are.
I think that's his like just internal thoughts
Well,
and how he like feel. I think it's a combination of an id and superego type like thing in his head.
well, Shimizu, like later on, like you remember when he gets that like job or whatever.
Him and
Yes.
Seki take the
Him
job.
and Seki take the job,
Yeah.
and then the guy's like, "Oh, like we're cleaning a dead body," and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh," and then he looks in the window and he sees someone like right there, and he's like, "I can't do this." So like, I don't know if he sees ghosts or
I mean, he looked like he saw the poop god in the window, but looked.
it wasn't the.
It wasn't the poop god.
It was the dead body. It was the man who was still in there.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, I can see that. I read that as like he's like imagining a dead body in there, and he's
Oh.
like, I can't do this. Like, it's one thing to like talk about it, but to confront the idea of having to go like.
I
clean
thought that like since he saw the poop god and it was like really prevalent part during the miso factory little bit, I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
That-
maybe he does have supernatural.
the idea that like his
things.
poop god actually did like. He does have supernatural things.
I don't know, vision,
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't think
feeling.
it's gonna. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how relevant it is to the story.
I don't
or
know
if
how
at
relevant it
all.
is, but it is something that's very strange about this character, and it's something that like I got to be honest, like he's not my favorite character, but that makes him a little more interesting to me. Like, what is happening with these visions that he's seeing, and are they going to play a bigger part in the overall story? But this is around the part 2 and around the time that we see Seki having this flashback of the miso factory and how there used to be a woman there who his dad used to sell bento boxes to. And Seki, this is where we get a little insight into Seki's backstory, and because he becomes this sort of background character throughout the entire series, and probably I think Cody is he the guy that you're most interested in,
Yeah.
and the way he handles things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I preferred that story over Punpun's.
Yeah, it takes a wild turn. Not a turn I
Oh,
would have
yeah.
expected. I was like, oh, this is what he's doing now. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a little. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's at this point where he's upset and he's mad at the world. He lights a cigarette. He doesn't put it out all the way. The miso factory catches on fire. I kind of want to speed through this stuff because, as you
Yeah.
can see, like I didn't highlight much here because the meat of the story is what happens later on.
Yeah,
But-
I didn't really care about the dead body story. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the the Stand By Me type story that is like a bunch of kids
Mm-hmm.
go on a thing and we're gonna go find a dead body. It's weird that's been now in 2 medias that I'm aware of,
Yeah,
because they do the thing like guys as kids, they all watch porn together, and then they also go hunting for dead bodies.
makes sense to me.
One of those is true.
Neither is true.
One of those is
It
true.
doesn't make
Oh,
any
I forgot.
sense.
Megan is convinced that all guys
They do.
watch porn together.
They do. Definitely.
Okay.
When you're younger, for sure.
Oh,
I've heard
absolutely
too many people
not.
tell me different, so I can't trust you. You guys are both lying.
I'm not. I would be.
You guys are
of-
both lying.
Of all the things I've said on this podcast,
It's already
you
hard
think I would
enough.
be ashamed to say I watched porn with
Well,
guys?
maybe
as a
you
kid?
guys are different.
It's already hard enough getting a group together in the first place,
Yeah.
but to get everyone's schedules on track to like watch.
You're fucking 10 years old.
Yeah,
I got
never.
stuff going.
I've also never been 10 years old and had access to porn, or neither have any of my
Oh,
friends.
because the internet wasn't a thing, but
Okay, moving on.
Good one.
But I do think what this part of the story is really good at doing is it's setting up the Aiko and Punpun sort of relationship, and that's where after this fire breaks out and happens, that's where their bond is established, and that's where he as they're leaving, sees that beautiful galaxy, the stars, and that plays a big part in the story later on, because that was a moment in his life where he felt like, I guess, the most whole.
That's where the credits roll, and then you go, Punpun married Aiko, and the movie's over now, and they lived happily ever after.
Yeah. But that is not. We would
No.
not have a story if that's what happened.
I love how the story ended at just the middle of volume 2.
Yeah, what an anticlimactic story if it just ended there.
I think that would have been a nice story, actually.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But yeah, so that's all just kind of where we left off. But here's where it gets, I think, way more interesting. And 2 years pass, and it seems to be that every time a time skip happens, it happens in 2-year increments.
Is this? Did we already talk about? Is that his mom situation in the first volume? Going into volume 2 in the hospital.
Yeah, his mom's in the hospital, but it doesn't happen until later. I don't think that. Oh no, it's there. I see it here.
Yeah, that's in volume 2.
Yeah, it's in volume 2. Yeah. So that's when he's supposed to go, because him and Aiko have that promise that they made to each other.
And if you ever lie to me,
I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, this manga definitely, like, just as a kid, like, he's just taking like the smallest words or like the smallest phrases and just like overthinking everything that he does and says, and like just him being in that room, like we've all been there, we're just like, fuck, okay, you're just like talking to yourself in your head, and you're just like driving yourself crazy over the smallest thing, like, I'm gonna kill you, like, she's not gonna fucking kill you. Like, he's just like, it gives you anxiety, like it stresses you out, like just him talking to himself, you're like, just calm down, just calm down, you're stressing me out.
Yeah, dude,
For
everything's gonna be
nothing.
okay.
For
Everything's
nothing.
gonna be fine.
No, yeah.
But little does he know.
Well, it's
not be
absolutely not.
It's not going to be fine for him ever.
Which is the important thing to remember, is it will not be okay.
So him and Aiko are going away. I forget what city they're going to, but she's like, let's go. And he's like, okay. And then Uncle gets a call from the hospital, and he's like, fuck. He's like, Punpun, we got to go now. And he's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And he's driving to the hospital. He's like, it's your mom. I don't know what happened, blah, blah. Punpun's just not thinking about that shit at all. He does not give a fuck about his mom. He's like, God damn it, Aiko.
She fell on purpose.
Yeah, he's like,
she jumped off the fire escape.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care about her. I don't care. I want Aiko. I could care less about this. And I was like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, and the reason that we don't really care about him not caring is because we've already been let in, I think, by this point, that she's been like horrible to him, that he's overheard, that he's been, in his room listening to his mom and dad argue, and they've been talking about how too true, brother, and how I'm gonna start crying, and how she says like she never wanted to have a kid in the first place, and how she has resentment towards Papa Punpun for even giving her a child. She's like, I regret, this was a horrible mistake.
And he's just like,
yeah. So yeah, when he doesn't feel bad about her at the hospital, like, of course not. He fucking hates her.
yeah, but it's just that it's that's the cement. You're like, okay, this is gonna be their relationship. Like, there's no reconciliation, or this is it. Like, he's just completely like, how old is he at this point? Like,
he's very
11?
very young. Yeah.
He's like, I'm fucking over. He's just not even thinking about it. Like, it's not even a thought to come to his head, which is like, it's like crazy.
Yeah, and I don't think he hates her yet. I do think that he just doesn't
care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's very hurt.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's like, it's just driving, and the uncle's like, fuck, blah, blah. He's talking to her, and he's like, oh, Aiko, she's sad right now. I'm gonna die.
Well, he's also like, there's no way she's waiting for me. There's no way. Like, she's probably at home, doing her own thing, and then they just happen to drive by where they said they were gonna meet, and then he sees her crying on the corner.
Because she's fucked up too.
Yeah.
Like, her whole family situation in the first volume, like, they kind of get it explained, and you're like, ooh, it does not sound fun for you.
Well, yeah, she comes from a religious sort of
like a
cult
cult
family.
That's
triangle
water.
pyramid
Yeah.
thing. But
I mean, but damaged people attract other damaged people. Okay, a lot of pointing fingers over here. And so it makes sense. It makes sense that they would be attracted to each other because they feel like they're the only two people that can understand each other.
yeah.
But obviously Punpun doesn't know how to handle that when he sees her out there. And his way of dealing with it is just by like not dealing with it.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
Yeah.
He thinks it's the end of the world. He can't do anything about anything.
Yeah.
Communication is not his strong suit.
Yeah, because
No.
like I feel like that could have been cleared up by saying my mom was in the hospital.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
he just doesn't.
Well, he's like, I guess it's over between me and her. I'm like, just,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Just tell. Like, that's the
There's-
most valid reason in the world to like not make it to a date.
There's
Yeah,
so
but-
many things in the story that could just be easily resolved if he just opened his fucking mouth.
Yeah, but he was kind of on the fence
But he
about
can't
it
because he's a
too.
bird, and that's the great tragedy of Punpun. If he was a human, he could speak English.
If only. But that's like he can't. He's not. First of all, he's not good at communicating his feelings because of his family dynamic and situation. He's never felt like he could stand up for himself or speak really at all. So I think he's just kind of tortured, and he was on the fence about whether he even wanted to go with her or not in the first place. He kept saying like, I don't know if I want to go. I do want to go. Like he doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know anything.
He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
He's a shell of a bird.
Yeah.
He just fucking walks
He's
around.
an eggshell.
He's an eggshell. Yeah. Yeah.
What came first?
The egg or the shell?
Or the
depression or the sadness?
Fuck.
Sadness.
Sadness. It's always sadness.
Yeah,
It's definitely
comes
sadness.
first.
But yeah, his mom's in the hospital and
She tried to take her own
tried to
life.
take her own life. She
Yeah.
was just like, I'm fucking done. And that's where we kind of meet another character that is kind of important. I mean, very important later on. And which
yeah,
is
very important.
She's so funny. She's like, you're so young. She's like, do you have a boyfriend? She's like, I would rail you right now if I was a guy. And she's like, oh, okay. No, I don't have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? She just is. I could totally see this type of woman, just
Yeah.
like this broken woman with a kid she doesn't fucking care about. She's just like, Stop. Okay, we can't keep doing this the whole
What?
podcast. You're gonna make Josh cry.
People want to see it.
Do we want to? I'm not like. Were we gonna pretend we're reading this, not going like, oh wow, Josh. We gonna act like that's not.
Oh, okay.
I just totally see this woman, and
Mm-hmm.
she is an asshole, but an interesting character to
well,
me.
who she is
An interesting
is
asshole.
An
An
interesting
interesting
asshole.
asshole.
Who she is really just stop pointing. Who she is really just a woman, and I think a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
like it's so hard for especially children to look at their parents as
people or humans.
Yeah, and I think because she is Mama Punpun, like it's hard. Like we want her to be a good mom, but she's just like a woman whose life did not go the way she wanted it to go.
Exactly, and I don't think that's like very. I mean, sometimes it is. It isn't in like manga. It's like not like explored. Like you always have that mom character who's like a great mom. Will do anything for their children. Will do anything, and it's like no, that's literally not how it goes most of the time. Like people stop. People change and people get hurt, and like she's not thinking about her son's life. She's thinking about her own life, and that just goes to show how selfish she is, and she shouldn't have been a mom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
stop,
I know it's
Cody.
distracting, but it's pretty funny too.
These are
You're-
you know these facts about him.
I don't know anything
Oh.
about Josh.
Oh, it's like rest assured.
There's things I find out every day.
Punpun 2 coming soon.
You know what? Truthfully, I did think like I could probably turn my life into a pretty.
That's
pretty
what
sad manga.
this they
Good
kind of
manga.
like puts you in that mentality, like you start going through your life and you're
Yes.
Yeah.
like that melancholy remembrance.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that for you too, but it feels like it based on what you just said. Did you guys get a little like nostalgic when you
when I was
read it?
reading the kid parts, yeah, like I
Yeah.
remember like hanging out with my friends and thinking that this was gonna be how it is forever. Like you don't like see like the future that much when you're a kid. You're like, oh, we're gonna be friends forever. We're gonna be riding our scooters down the block. Like this is just like the moment. Your reality at that time is like
Yeah.
so precious because you're just fucking kids, and like him dealing with all this shit on top of being just like trying to be a kid. It's like fucked.
Yeah, that thing of like you can have a like some like stuff happens with your family and you just go to school the next day and you're like, I'm gonna draw like a penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're too when you're too young to like process the deeper emotional stuff yet, where you're just like, I am saddened by this. I don't even know why though.
Yeah.
And then you'll get older and be like,
Yeah, that's why I was sad. But then you have, like Punpun had his friends he would hang out with, and like later on you see kind of
It's just Cody's face.
later on you see he kind of like doesn't have that anymore, and I think that plays like a huge part in like his.
Well, he isolates, right? Which is what a lot of
Yes.
people who don't know how to communicate or deal with, their issues. That's what they do. They isolate. And I learned this recently from a book that I was reading, that avoidance is a fear-based emotion, right? So Punpun avoiding talking to Aiko and avoiding, dealing with anything is because he's just afraid. I mean, he's afraid of. It's almost as if he's afraid of people finding out who he really is, or he is afraid of who he is, and people rejecting that.
He's afraid of.
For people just listening, I'm not laughing at that. Cody's
No,
just
Cody
making-
keeps doing some hand gestures and looks, and I think this is his coping mechanism.
Yes,
Well, absolutely, yeah. Like I don't mean this. What's
Yeah.
doing the surfer thing? Like I don't.
10, bitch.
I don't surf. I don't like the ocean.
But that's what breaks my heart, about seeing him like that, is because like I know what that leads to, and it fucking hurts to see him go through it, But it's not just him, because after that, I think is when we get into that 2 year later mark, and Yuichi, his uncle, is going to this cafe, and he recognizes the waitress. Before that, because I think that story is where we're going to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, he has a lawyer friend that he talks to, and this guy is another example of like a weird adult in this world. I don't know if that's intentional, because
they always have these like exaggerated facial
Attack on
expressions.
Titan smile.
Yeah.
And like it totally reminds me of that, but they're very like gross. And I don't know if that's intentional for like the Punpun family to like exaggerate people's like
Well, I think
lifestyles and like choice of movement. I don't know.
throughout the like it's like select. Not everyone has like that like frozen facial expression. So I think it's like people that are like putting like the you'll see a lot of the people with the smiles. It's like, oh, those the ones with like the weird distorted smiles. Those are the ones that are like hiding like stuff.
Fake.
Really? Because I didn't
smiles.
pick up on that.
I think that's
I
because
really didn't.
because there's normal like drawn characters, and then there's people with like frozen or exaggerated facial expressions, and then there's the Punpun family who are birds, and I think each is like a different layer of like, their sense of self and like how they are shown to the world and how the world sees them.
Huh. I mean, I do see that, and I would agree with that.
It
But
would make sense that the Punpun family they can only really talk to those borderline cartoonish people.
yeah, because they're one step closer to being cartoons.
Yeah,
which is how the Punpun family is represented.
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But so before all that though, we're also getting this time skip, and it's showing us that one of Punpun's friends from childhood is a all-star badminton player.
Yaguchi
Which is a funny phrase.
No, Yaguchi is the new. Yaguchi
is the new guy.
Is the older guy with a big dick.
Yeah, they do say that a lot.
Yeah.
The worst thing to hear about your ex's new boyfriend.
Right? So
it's
terrible.
like, and here's that first. It's like, this guy, huge.
God, boys are so obsessed with other people's dicks.
I don't know where it comes from. I think
They're so obsessed.
I mean,
Did you hear about Kyle? Yeah, he has a big dick. Like, why are you
Which
guys...
that's another thing that like, because like I like ironically doing that, but like we don't talk like that in
Yes,
real life.
I mean, as a kid, I think there was for sure people who would bully people that way.
But bully them and be
Yeah.
like, you probably have a small penis.
Yeah.
But like to like be like,
Talking
hey,
about
dude,
it.
Kyle's got like a like guys. That's not a real thing. Like I like that's just fun to say like work or like hanging out with friends. But like if we're like at a bar, I'm not gonna be like, so how's your small penis? It's like that's just not. It's a joke.
I mean,
like,
you were doing it all yesterday to Josh.
it's funny.
It is pretty funny.
But it's funny because I
hurtful.
don't think it's funny to say. Like I think it's ironically funny to like still make those kinds of jokes at this age.
Yeah, because it's absurd to you that people would even find that funny or joke about that at all, right?
And that's the joke.
Because you're saying that girls don't do that.
No, I mean, it's just a weird. I don't know.
But
weird
guys definitely do
boys
not
are-
be like, and I heard no, guys about themselves will be like, and I have a huge penis, and you'll be like, I don't have to talk to you.
Yeah.
I know a couple of guys that have just done that, and they're like, I did not ask.
Telling
as
you,
just-
hey, guess what? So.
But I mean, as a
odd.
kid, for whatever reason, if it's, media or whatever, it's just directly tied to your masculinity for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's adults telling you or joking or roasting you or making fun of you or other kids, or you're seeing it in whatever, however old you are when you see your first porn and everybody's like comparing, and it's this, even when you're at urinals, I mean, there's a portion of.
Did you compare at urinals?
No, I never compared at urinals, but I literally thought, this is me being vulnerable. I literally used to listen because as a kid, because I used to think that like the harder the urine hit the urinal, it must mean the more force the urine had, therefore must have meant that the dude had a bigger dick. Yeah. And that's
I've heard someone say that.
I don't know where I got that from, but there's a part.
But yeah, no, guys do not gather in groups and be like, dude, Kyle's cock is huge. At least not about their friends.
Yeah, but I did go to urinals and I did just go like, and I tried to pee as
Oh my
aggressively
God.
as possible.
You do Kegels?
I tried, but that's because I have a small bladder apparently.
Kegels?
Kegels are like when
Kegels.
Kegels, women can do Kegels too.
I don't think guys can do Kegels.
Guys
Yeah,
can
they
do
can.
Kegels.
They really can. I swear
Josh,
to God,
pull-
I'm doing it right now.
I was thinking about it. It was like, it wouldn't show. There'd be no distinction, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I really am doing it right now.
But guys can do Kegels.
Okay, that's
That's enough.
that's enough.
Point is, there's a section of every young boy's brain that's just dedicated to penises and their insecurity or I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's just,
Yeah, it's a very especially just middle school.
It's also
I
it's
mean,
along
all
the,
their lives really, but
it's along the vein of like, I feel like there are guys that like have sex so they can tell other guys they did it.
sure, yeah.
of course.
Because they'll be like, because I don't really care about talking about that stuff. Like with people, I'll be like, did you see that movie? And they'll be like, yeah, I just hooked up with her. I'm like, I don't care. But it is like, did you like her or anything? And I feel like it's just so you can like talk about it to like other guys.
Yeah.
I met a couple people like, and also like, I know you lied about that.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing too. Yeah, people just blatantly lying about it in school because they want to be cool.
Yeah.
But this, yeah, right. Give it up for that guy. But this is a part of the story again that I wasn't super invested in when he's competing with what's the guy's name?
Yaguchi.
for Aiko's
I like
heart.
that.
I
like
really
that part.
liked it
Really?
because it showed it just showed the clear difference of like a kid Punpun and this kid is. Like this kid is just a regular kid being like, I just want to like my girlfriend and like I want to win her heart in this game and like we'll have a little contest, and then Punpun's just thinking like, oh my god, this fucking guy, I hope he gets killed.
That's
hope.
that's when I
Just like,
started.
oh my god.
I started seeing the Godhead as like that's more of an expression of his internal thoughts.
Yes.
But it's going like kill him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's those initial like primary like, I hope you just die.
Yeah.
And
So
it's-
like I can like get this thing.
Yeah, Yaguchi's not thinking these thoughts. I mean, everyone has intrusive thoughts, but Punpun's like 24/7.
Yeah.
Like he's just like fucking on one, and he's not really even involved. Like he's not doing anything. Like Yuchi's doing all the work, and he's just kind of like, we'll see how this plays out.
I guess
His Punpun, he
as-
like finds out that like, oh, the lead star of our badminton team
Yeah, who
is like
cares?
dating. Yeah, I'm like, that's one of those things where they made a movie. I want to be the number one badminton. So I was like, who gives a shit about?
I mean, it gets scholarships, you know.
yeah, I mean, lots of things. Swimming gives scholarships,
Yeah,
and you get
that's
away
cool.
with serious crimes because you're good at swimming. And you're like, who gives a shit about swimming?
Michael Phelps.
No, one of those.
That
college,
was a crime. That was a crime in itself. Imagine Michael Phelps was like around now. He wouldn't be arrested for smoking weed.
Oh no, but he did he did swim against a shark, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, I thought you were saying he did some racist stuff. I was like,
Well, he did. Well,
I mean-
they imply that sharks can't swim better than.
But I guess now that you guys are talking me through it, I do think that this is a really cool moment in the series, but it just was overshadowed.
Because I think
yeah.
the
Oh,
story
yeah.
becomes Punpun like it's a lot of him like interacting with people, and then you get their lives, and then he's like, yeah, I'm not doing too good.
He's kind of
what's going on with you? Oh no, but yeah, it was and also they have a gentleman's agreement because he like leaves the badminton game because like I can't stand being around the giant cocked new boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because also now I know that about him.
Yeah.
And
can't unsee
and
that.
Enoki mushroom.
Yeah, and they show the mushroom too in the manga, and I'm like, great.
But then, like the guy is a cool guy, and he's like, "Hey, you didn't show up to the game. What happened?" And
He's so nice. He's such a nice boy. Like
he's like, "Do you have a crush on her?" And they have the gentleman's agreement that doesn't get talked about enough among men, which is if I win the game, I'm gonna keep dating her. But he's also like insecure about that relationship too, so he's like not sure how to feel about it. So he's like, it's kind of like that'll be assigned to me even.
Yes. That'll be like the universe's way of
it's just so trivial.
And then if I lose
that age,
then you can have her because she does talk about you.
Yeah.
And it is the childish thing of what was it?
It's the childish thing of dibs too.
Horns did it with Daniel Radcliffe.
I never saw the movie,
I never saw it.
I did see the trailers and
they have this like thing of like, oh, whoever gives her the chain gets to date her, and then the guy's like, I lied, actually I didn't fix your chain. The other guy, and the girl's just like, I didn't date you because you fixed my necklace for me. I dated you because I liked you. Did you think you like won me through that? So like
guys do think that too. Like their unsaid agreement is like the girl like knows what's going on. Sure. Call them fucking gentlemen.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just hilarious.
No, it is very funny.
Very
and I do think,
funny.
especially as kids, you do think that way, and it doesn't even cross your mind that that's a horrible way of thinking.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
No way.
No, middle schoolers trying to like win girls through badminton games.
Nah, dude.
Because imagine being like, I won the big badminton game. They'll be like, what's badminton?
Yeah. Well, middle schoolers now are super woke, I feel like.
Middle schoolers now are, I don't know what they're putting in the water. They just look like old. All kids look old now.
Look way. Although like
it's hormones in the fast food.
It's the stuff that they're putting in food.
No, I swear to God, it actually is.
No, I mean it actually is, but I didn't.
I look at me when I was in middle school versus like other people in middle school. I'm like, what?
And you've reversed aged.
No.
Yeah, it's because of the negative hormones you've been eating.
You're getting younger.
Negative hormones.
Yeah, you have negative hormones. You have bizarro hormones.
Yeah,
man.
bizarre hormones.
Bizarre hormones.
Anyway, they're just crazy.
Oh.
But like, it's all the same stuff. It's all like there was people in middle school doing some crazy shit. Like the kids don't change.
Yeah.
Because they think that when you're in middle school, you know that there's people older than you, but this is your reality. That's always how it is when you're like younger. Like this is I'm gonna do what I do now, but it's like you probably should, but you're.
There's also this contradiction where people are like, children are innocent and they're born without prejudice, but like no, children are super mean. Also, like it's not that like there's a default state of man either. Like it always depends on the person. Well, children aren't inherently nice or considerate. A lot of them are inherently cruel.
Well, I did read something somewhere, and I think Punpun kind of does talk about it when Seki kind of has this like monologue about life and people and freedom and all this. But I did read somewhere that like you have to teach kids to do the right thing. If you leave a kid to its own devices, it will inherently do the wrong thing, do the things it's not supposed to do. You have to teach it the right thing.
Well, it's human nature.
Well, that then we're going into those debates of like, is man born good or is man born cruel, and they are taught goodness, or are they born good and they were taught cruelty?
It's
nature versus nurture.
It's nature versus yeah. It's just humans need to survive. And the things that you need to do to survive aren't always the best. And if you don't have anyone to teach you what to do, you're going to do the bad things in order to get on top.
Well, that's what Seki said in his monologue, which was like, this world is designed for people to fuck people over and to hurt people. Like that's, but
which
we're
I know
also
that's
taught to not do that.
That's like one of the views of a lot. I mean, we can, if you cut me off, you don't care. But like one of the original ideas
anyway,
of
moving
like
on.
that like the default state of man was like, oh, man in the wild was like cruel and selfish, and they just killed and stole from each other. But it is like No, that's because if we were like that by default, we wouldn't have gotten to this point.
Exactly. There's
like
the whole
and
tribe
and
kind of
events
thing,
in events of tragedy. It's not like humans immediately start like stabbing and killing each other. Consistently, they start helping each other. At worst, they start stealing TVs, and it's like, who cares?
Well, that's where like if that was true, then this like loneliness wouldn't be a thing. This like this weight that Punpun feels that so many people I imagine feel of just like utter and Miss Punpun feels that too, or Onodera, whatever her maiden name is.
Yeah.
Like if that was true, then loneliness wouldn't feel so fucking terrible. Because we do need to be around other people.
And it's also like this is set obviously in Japan. This is like
that's
in
a good
Japan.
point.
Japanese people, there is a huge issue with like keeping everything bottled in. Even more here, like, you know, you talk about therapy, like it's really pretty much looked down upon if you go to therapy or talk to anyone about your problems. It's like you do you, stay in your own lane, figure your own shit out. And that's why there's a huge like suicide issue in Japan.
That's where the people who just live in their rooms and their parents just take care of them, because it's considered like more shameful to like admit that like your child needs help than it is to like,
sexual assault is a huge thing in Japan. Like people will get molested on buses and everyone will look the other way. Like no one does shit. Like people just don't want to get involved because it's more work for them. But that's probably what he's going through, I would assume, because it's kind of looked down upon to like talk about your issues. And no one really does that in this manga. Yeah, like they barely do.
I think that's part of him. Like he doesn't get speech bubbles. It kind of like it cuts to a panel where it's this abstract way of like communicating that like he says this, and I think it's like even that's like the gist of what he said. But you don't even get to see him talk to people. Yeah. Like you'll get every now, like even like he talks a few times, but whenever he does it is like disconnected from him and from the people around him. It's like, I don't know, I'm not doing too good right now. And then it'll like you never see him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm feeling a lot of things right now, so we got to keep this train moving.
Okay. Yeah. So the story becomes about because he meets a girl.
I spiraled. I started to spiral a little bit, and so I'm back.
Okay.
It becomes about the girl's like, oh, you're really Uncle Bird guy. Why don't we go out on a date? And he's like, I don't know. And then they go. And
what's your objective?
Yeah, which is like a valid question to ask.
It's a question that Cody would.
Kind of reminds me about Cody. Yeah, he's just like, why are you asking me these things? Why are you being nice to me?
Scheme?
What is your angle? What are you fucking trying to get at? Like, you're a nice girl. Why the fuck would you be talking to me?
And here's the thing about I'm a type of person. There are people who, like, a way of teasing people is pretending to be nice to them so you can, like, start poking fun at the things they do when they're like, so what do you like to do? And I'm like, oh, video games? So like, oh, that's really interesting. So you start getting this mentality of, like, oh, are you making fun of me or not? Because I can't tell with people anymore.
Right.
And that's like a...
Or it's also
some people have that issue.
What do you think about me? Do you think I make fun of you?
Sometimes. It's this basically, much like the Godhead, it's this thought in the back of your head.
Right. No,
that's like, they're making fun of you. And I, like, over years, I've learned to just be like, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I have a voice in the back of my head. I'm not the quietest person.
No.
So when I talk to people, I feel like I can come on like way too strong, and I'm like, okay, you need to take it back because they're gonna think you're fucking crazy. I always think about
and that's
you.
your voice in your head telling you to dial
chill.
it back.
Yeah, to chill, or like, oh, like you're
Well, it kind of reminds me of something that you have said to me previously, that it's that, but it's also what you described, but it's when someone gets angry, when someone says like, I like this thing that you showed me and I like that thing that you showed me, and then all of a sudden there's an argument or a breakup, and then they go, and actually all that shit that you like is fucking stupid.
Twice as people have, like, there's an obscure movie I really like. It's low budget. It's not that well made. I just love the story and the way it's done. And then they've been like
that he shows his girlfriend.
They've been like,
look, this is me and my ex-girlfriend.
No, it's made at home. Like, no, we just did this. No lighting or anything. No, and then they'll be like, no, I like the movie. Like, they'll like show me like them crying, and then when it like comes to break, I'm like, I hated that movie. I thought it was dumb, and I'm like,
so my question to you is like, do you think in those moments and going forward in future interactions that people are lying, or do you feel like they were so hurt that them saying they didn't like it was a lie. But I think you assumed that them liking it was a lie.
I mean, I believe that they pretended, because I know that. Like, I've had, they admitted that, like, I pretended to like these things because I.
But people say things out of hurt and pain sometimes. So they could have been lying about not liking it just because they know how much that would hurt.
And you'll never know which is which, and that's the heart that becomes where you start getting anxiety when talking to people. Is you don't know, am I talking to you or am I talking to the you that you're presenting to me? And the reality is, I'm talking to the you you're presenting to me always. So I don't know. And that there is this thing of like they say like you won't know who you're dating until like 3 months in. Mm-hmm. Because everyone's just on their best behavior. And then 3 months, you'll start seeing all these like little cracks. And then eventually it's just like, oh, we're not who we presented to each other at all, are we? Also,
and that's how Yaguchi's feeling right now with this girl. What's her
yeah.
name? Her name is Midori.
Yeah.
And she's so nice, and he recognizes her at the coffee shop. And then...
Yeah, I think this is what everybody's going to want us to talk about, because it's this moment and another moment that are big moments in this chunk of the story.
Yeah.
And this is where we get his backstory and why he's so... First of all, he hates himself. He doesn't want to fix himself. I feel like Yaguchi likes being tortured.
And this is the first time we're like kind of seeing like him talk really badly about himself. You've only seen him like help out. You've only seen him help Punpun and help his sister out. Like, this is the first time when he's actually talking to her. He's just like, you think I do these things because I want to do them? I'm just doing it. I don't mean what I do. I don't care about them at all. And he's just like putting up this front like, I'm doing this to like help me fix myself because I'm fucked up and I did some fucked up things. And like, he really is just like, the guilt is like tearing him apart of like what he has done. And he doesn't deserve happiness.
But in a weird way, I feel like the guilt has morphed into like
martyrdom.
Yeah. Like he's a martyr, right?
Yeah.
And to your point about the version of yourself that you're presenting, like him self-sabotaging in the cafe with Midori, who was Miss Punpun's nurse and now is a waitress at a coffee shop. His reason for self-sabotaging is like dropping that facade and just saying like, this is who I really am. Like I jerked off to you before we met at this coffee shop. And she's like, why would you say that? Why would you tell me that? You know, and you know,
dude, bro, chill. We're in a
it's
coffee
almost
shop.
like martyr's the perfect way to say it. Like it's almost like, and that's why it is guilt, and maybe that's where it came from. But it's like this is the world he feels like he deserves, and this is like inevitably. I mean, he's just lost faith in humanity. It's just like, I don't know. It's just it's also a very real thing that he's going through and that he's feeling and that happens. But we find out about this girl that he had an interaction with when he used to teach pottery at this school.
And that was so nice to see him like actually kind of be happy and like what he's doing. And people are like, oh, hey, you know, we made you sandwiches. And he's like, oh, the ladies love me. The housewives love me. And it's just this fun little back and forth that he's having. Like, he's like, oh, they don't like me, do they? Like, it's so stupid. And then we have, I don't remember her name. She's one of the students' daughters. And she comes in just like, oh, I want to make pottery, blah, blah. And of course, he's like being a creep and staring at her and like, you know, getting all like eye and shit. And I was like, this is when I wrote, just like, God damn it. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Like at this moment, I knew like something fucked up was going to go down.
But I think too, again, this is like just such a real moment because I think that I don't want to say that people I associate with behave that way, but I do think it is very common for men to like. I have members of my family who are extremely perverted, and they've just always been open
members,
open
One
about
member.
One member,
not me, because I don't want to be the person who is. And I just think that this is like, to me, and maybe my perception of guys is kind of warped because of my interactions with those people, but I do think that a lot of guys think that way. And process things that way and just like don't no, but I mean to that extreme.
Well, that's the craziest and like best part about Punpun. It's like all of these like intrusive thoughts are just said out loud on the page and not like, oh, I could just be like, oh, talking to someone and they're thinking like the most horrible things. You don't fucking know. You'll never know. And that's Punpun does like that exactly on the page, and that's what makes you feel so fucked up because you're like, people could be thinking anything, and I have no idea what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with that themselves, and that's why like this whole like. Yeah,
it's slimy. It's just like
so
a very slimy
feeling.
Okay.
What?
All right.
What?
Speaking of slimy,
Okay.
they hook up.
No, they don't hook up.
Almost.
They almost hook up.
Yeah, and this is like ongoing because she's like, "Oh, I like the same books as you," and like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and then
The classic trick.
the classic, yeah. But and you find that okay, so like, yeah, she goes to his house pretty much, and she starts like trying to like.
Well, she says it initially when they're out on their date. This is how she.
Oh, yeah,
This is how she
duh.
hooks him, right? She keeps coming around, and he's like, "Why do you keep coming around?" And she says like that. First of all, she says that she's been bound
Yes,
and not like with rope
Yes.
and not allowed to leave her house, and she has these marks on her wrist
tied up by her mom.
tied up by her mom, and then her mom tied her up because she recently got pregnant from a guy in her class, and she had an abortion.
that was interesting phrasing. Not her boyfriend, a guy in her class. So I'm like, oh, is it like even worse?
It might be even
implications
worse.
than just
Oh,
It might be. Even
it might
Yeah.
be, and maybe that's where.
because there's like three options there. Like it was her boyfriend, it was like just some guy she hooked up with,
Or it was like a teacher.
or someone got her pregnant.
Right.
Not I had
Well, I mean, maybe that's where, this cycle, of pain, I guess, comes from. Like maybe she was abused and now she feels like she has to abuse people. I don't know.
Well, she's getting very Gypsy Rose.
No, some of them want to abuse you, and some of them want to be abused.
Okay.
So she basically.
And not to say, I just need to clarify, not to say that people who've been abused abuse others, but
no, but
that like
Some of them want to use you.
yeah. But sometimes, people don't know how to deal with the things that they've been through.
no, and they take it out on others
Yeah.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
And sometimes other people will get help. But she's not one of them right now. She basically confides in him as like, my mom ties me up because I got pregnant,
And
and
she's like, I had to make sure you don't do anything ever again, and you're gonna be safe here, and
yeah.
on the radiator.
And she's like, yep, that's what happens. And he's like, my God. He's like, Jesus Christ. Like, he's kind of fucked up about it. And then that's when they go back to his house. Bad move on his part also.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to help her as like something crazy.
But I think even he says like he knows what he's doing. Like,
Yeah.
he knows that he's like trying to help her.
No.
But he has ulterior motives. 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they get there and she starts like kissing him, and then things happen and he's like, you know what? No, like I can't do this. Like, no. And I was like, okay, good for him stopping. That could have gone way worse, even though it was still bad. He didn't do anything. And then his fucking girlfriend comes home and she's like just like a standard like person that he's with. She loves him. Their relationship is very like weird because they were gonna get married and they weren't. And
It was like
they're commiserating in misery.
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yes.
like, so are we gonna get married or what? It's not like it wasn't a passionate relationship. They had. They
No.
were just like, we're dating. We've been dating long enough to get married now. What do you say?
Yeah.
what do you say?
It was very like paint by numbers, like what you think an adult should do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's
We
what she's
should be
saying.
married
Like,
by now.
all of my
Yeah.
friends are getting married. Why the fuck are we not getting married yet? And that happens to a lot of people. Just like the pressure of like seeing everyone around you like,
Yeah, and to
have
feel-
kids or get married, and you're like, why?
To feel like this person that you've been with for so long is not the person that you're going to end up marrying, and realizing that it's like that realization, like I've wasted, because I think they were together for 5 years or something like that. Like I've wasted 5 years of my life. And now I'm starting on a handicap. Like I'm older, I'm less attractive, I'm this
You
and
don't
this
be.
and that.
Yeah, come on, man.
And I also, that mentality too, it's like, obviously if you're in a bad relationship and like fucked up things happen, like I just hate the term wasting your life. It's like,
I do too, but
you live your
Well,
life.
no one
the way
wants
you,
to do it, but I mean, you did waste your. I mean,
I
hate-
can't speak for everyone in this room, but
I do kind of agree with you that there was a period of time where I felt like it would have been considered a waste of life, but yeah, you have everything that you experience in life.
you have to. Wait, I wrote it. I have a quote.
A lot of good quotes in this series too.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to highlight
Peop-
the physical copy
Oh,
of
wait.
the manga.
Where is it? Oh, what matters is now, because the present is what leads us to our future.
There you go.
Yeah.
Eloquently said.
By Mama Punpun.
By
Quote by
Mama
Mama Punpun.
Yeah.
But yeah, he tells her no, and then the girlfriend comes home, and he's like, go in the fucking closet, I guess, and it's total R. Kelly moment. Not to like give R. Kelly credit, but you know the song. She's in the closet, and the girlfriend's literally like breaking down in front of him, like, what, like, do you love me anymore? Like, are we gonna get married? Like, what's going on? And he's literally thinking the nastiest things in his fucking brain.
Yeah.
And he's just like not even listening to her. And it's so like that moment was so gut wrenching. Just like when you're talking to someone about like how you're feeling and you know they're not listening to anything that you're saying like at all. And you're just like, oh, do it again. Do it. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And that part was like,
Yeah, because it was so real. It was so honest.
And he
it
was just,
so,
and he was saying like, I'm already a piece of shit. I might as well just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's like your thoughts are the only you and your thoughts, you deal with that. You don't bring anyone else into that. Like he didn't say it out loud.
That's
like,
the thing. You can't control your thoughts, but you can control your actions.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, and it got so fucked up when his girlfriend and him start having sex, and they're like fucking the shit out of each other, and she's like moaning and yelling and screaming, and you see this 16-year-old girl peering out of the closet, and him knowing that she's there.
Oh
and,
my god.
oh my god! I mean,
it's fucked up. It's so fucked up. And then, yeah, and then he's like, "You should probably take a bath, huh?"
Yeah. Well, what's like? It was already such a fucked up moment, but you think that's as fucked up as it's gonna get.
Yeah, and then he's gonna be like, "We can't see each other anymore," or
Yeah.
like, "We can't." I don't know what was gonna happen after that.
But I mean, she literally.
And I'm like, as a first date, someone's telling you this to be like, let's keep going. I still want to see us like, this is all you know about him is this story he's telling you right now.
Yeah.
There's like you don't know, like I don't see why she's like, no, we'll make this work.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing about their whole relationship that I don't really understand. Again, like I know she's probably a broken person too,
for sure.
and broken birds attract other broken birds.
Broken birds of a feathers flock together.
Yeah, I don't know why I remembered that because someone told me that one time that I attract broken birds.
Oh my god!
Jesus
But that you know what happens when you
What
fix a
year were
broken
you
bird?
They fly
born?
away.
They fly away. Yeah. Pun. Yeah, do it again, Megan. Do it again. But what ends up happening is as fucked up as the situation is, it gets even worse. She is a master manipulator, and
Yeah.
she's convinced his other coworker after they agree that they can't see each other anymore.
And he goes on vacation to like just get his mind in order.
Yeah.
Which is probably smart. So he goes, and then he comes back, and he's asking her mom, because he's back, and he's like, I just have one question for you. Do you tie up your daughter?
Yeah.
And she just goes, oh, I just made these scones, and they're going to be he's like, do you tie up your daughter? She just keeps not answering the question. And he's like, do you tie up your daughter? And then someone else comes in, his friend with the glasses, bam! Right in the fucking head, just hits the shit out of her, and she dies.
Yeah.
Does she die?
No, she doesn't die.
He thinks she dies.
Oh, that's a bummer. I wish she died.
No, she doesn't die. She's actually like, writhing on the floor, screaming.
Yeah, she got fucked up.
She got super fucked up, and she's brainwashed this guy. Yuichi has this moment where he goes to talk to her and to confront her, and she just talks about how men are so easy to manipulate and how.
Yeah, no, it's
he
the
was
classic
tricked.
trap of convincing a guy that they can save her, and they should.
Yeah,
and they should just deal with all that bullshit in order to save them.
a man scorned. They say a woman scorned, but a man scorned is a Cody.
Was emos have no depression like a man scorned?
Ooh, is that already a saying?
No, I mean it's not even a good one, but something like that.
It's got legs. It's got legs.
Yeah, I mean, you feel bad for her because her mom did tie her up, but
But I don't even know if that's true.
Well, yeah, they don't.
that is true.
Yeah, that's never addressed.
It's
if
never-
it
no.
was true or not. And based on her being like, yeah, I manipulated him. It's not like, oh, I got help from someone else. I manipulated that guy into doing it.
Yeah, it's not that and who's to say? I think it's purposely not answered. But yeah, she could have just been using him that is a way to manipulate him. Not that she actually needed help.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fall on the side of like that maybe didn't even happen.
And she talks about the way she's like, I just had to do a thing to him, and that's all it took for him to like be like loyal.
She just had
and
to blow him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like
okay, yeah, you have to say it.
so she says it. She's like, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I did this, and I was like, and like she was doing it to him, so he would do that. Like she was doing all that. You can help me. You can do this, and you just need to kill my mom for me.
Yeah.
And the simp.
And you know what?
Kills
Nation.
them off. Simp Nation.
Rise up.
You know what? It was I don't know what it was, but I even then like I felt a little for him, but then he's also just like he doesn't want to be better. He wants to sit in this because they go to Midori basically convinces him to go talk to these people
Again.
like you need to go see where things are at now. Maybe seeing it will kind of take some, like maybe you've made it a lot bigger than it was in your head, and it's I don't know, it's a thing that can be maybe resolved and closed. You can have closure by going and seeing these people again, and he does. And it seems to go well. Like the guy who bashed the woman over the head is doing a lot better, making pottery again. That girl is off doing her own thing.
She went to the art school that she said she wanted to go to, and
like and the guy, who owns the pottery school he's not getting pressed. Charges aren't being pressed. They were, but now they're not because the girl convinced him, her mom, to not do it. So everything's fine.
Yeah, everything. That's what's crazy. Like it's like fucked up things happen, but like life goes on.
that's why that's when I was like, oh, he viewed himself as a martyr, and he wanted to be like, I have to live with this pain. Because when he found out that it was like, I mean, it was fucked up, but it's fine now.
It was an incident years ago.
Yeah,
So
she got hit with a vase.
you're fine.
Yeah, and that's where he like lies to Midori and tells her like, I feel a lot better. Thank you.
I feel so good right now. I feel great.
I'm
But
gonna
that's
go
what
for a
you-
stroll.
But that's what you do though. I mean, because like you have to do that because you're being nice by
Not
by putting yourself out there and being willing to go through that. So like the nice thing to say is I feel better.
and the nice thing to do is like not talk about your feelings or how you
Sure, yeah, because who
feel.
cares?
Yeah. Who honestly cares, first of all? Who's gonna listen, second of all, and does it matter?
It doesn't. It never has
Never
in the
has.
past. So why does it now?
Never will.
Yeah. So it makes sense. But then where I kind of like, and this might get a little dark, even darker. This is where I really kind of connect with him when he's on the train tracks, but he doesn't have the
Cojones.
for lack of a better word, the balls to do it. It's this thing of like, and again, don't ever do it. But he has this like, that's where the true nature of who he is comes out.
Mm-hmm.
He wants, I don't know, man. He's just like, he is soaking in his misery, and he wants. Sure, his depression is at a level where he wants to die, but he can't go through with it because he also maybe there's something about it that he. I don't want to say.
I feel like it was like, because he's been like, yeah, humans are messed up, and I feel like all that is to avoid the thing of like, no, you're messed up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you don't have that like thing of like, because of this, it's my fault, and I have to live with that guilt, and then like realizing like, you don't have to live with guilt for what that incident. You should have to, because all that drama let him avoid the fact that like you were in the middle of cheating on your girlfriend.
And it's also like, I mean, like not in a good way, but he didn't fucking go through with anything. Like he's like, it was of course bad.
I mean,
it was of course
he
bad.
did go through with a lot of things though.
But not like the deed. Like he was like,
yeah,
no.
but he willingly, knowing what was going to happen, brought a young
Well, yeah,
girl
that's
to
the
and made out with her.
Yeah, and it, like that would have been its like its own separate like thing. But yeah, like he did go like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
And it would have been this thing of
like the guilt of like, it's like a thing where it's like, okay, he's living with this guilt to the point where he's like basically ruining himself, and he didn't even do it. Like, imagine if he'd gone through with it. Like,
But
that's
he
like,
knows that he would have. And he knows that he wanted to.
but he didn't.
That doesn't, I mean, sure, I mean, there is a difference, but I don't know.
You don't think it matters?
I mean, it definitely matters if someone does follow through with something that's bad or not. But, like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I understand him feeling like he practically did because in his mind he did. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. But
But
it's the thing. It's the argument, should I say. It's
right.
like...
And I think, it is important to say that, yeah, like, actually doing something and thinking about doing something are two separate things. But, like, I don't know. I think, again, for him, how Cody said it too is just like he's obsessed with pointing fingers at everybody else and woe
mankind
is me.
is and I'm the only one who's aware of the darkness of mankind,
and using his past as an excuse to be this way.
Yeah, and then finding out that like nah, so I guess you should probably just think about what you're doing with your life right now. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah. And I don't know, at this point, Midori is someone who I really, she's her reason for doing all the things that she's doing, I don't understand. But
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And then she chooses this guy over like the lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
don't get it.
Well, I mean, I believe that like the girl goes for the unemployed guy versus like the lawyer. I see that all the time.
I mean, I've seen it many times.
I mean, who hasn't seen a girl be like, I love that guy? He's like, he's an unemployed DJ.
He's fun.
Sure. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
He makes me laugh.
Yeah, there you go.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we'll talk in a month when you find the next unemployed DJ.
But at this point, like, I'm endeared to her because she's kind and she's extending that olive branch to him and like, I want to help you, but it's sinister.
I like her character, but it's just like, why are you doing this for a guy that, like, at most you just thought was cute at a diner?
He might be cute.
Well, I mean, he might be.
We don't know how cute this guy is.
Yeah, we don't know. It depends. That has a lot to do with how you're perceived in society.
Well, also before, like, what she ends up doing later, which is terrible, her motive is, at this point, a little sinister, too, because she's basically, like, wanting to trap him. She's like, if I'm with this guy at his lowest, like, he can't go anywhere.
Is that
like,
what she says? You just think it's implied?
No, it's said in like a
I
roundabout
hope it was said,
way.
because if not, we just got a huge window into your psyche.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think she said that.
It's said in like a round. It's said in not those exact words, but I'll find it.
So okay, I think this is the prime example of another nice character, another nice person, just a fucking nice human being, like, being introduced into a fucked up situation, which is Punpun's inner circle. I think that she is probably a really good person, and it just is like it's shocking to see the contrast, and you're thinking, like, throughout the story, like, oh, she's fucked up, she's gonna do something, like, obviously she does, but, like, I don't know, I think it's like intentional.
Yeah, I don't know
that they're
how
showing
nice she is.
how nice she is versus, like,
I don't think I think her pain. That's her pain is like, she needs people to like her or to want her or to need her. Like, I don't.
And I mean, I've seen that relationship in high school where, it'd be like a 17-year-old girl being like, oh, that 27-year-old guy. And I'm like, that guy's a loser. Yeah. But she's just like, I love him so much. And you're
again.
That's what the relationship is.
It's
like,
the reality.
Like, similar to, like,
Your
what's
reality.
gonna happen later when Punpun goes on that date with, like, Azusa or whatever her name is.
Yeah, something like that.
And she calls him out for going through the motion. She's like, you're doing what nice people do, but you don't actually, like, care. You're doing an impression of a nice person, basically. I think that's kind of, Midori does have, like, I don't know. The thing is, all these characters are so real, and real people are very complex creatures, and I think that these are like real people to me. These aren't like characters in a story. These are like real people. But she does do some fucked up shit later on. So I don't know how nice she is, and if her intentions are.
I just remembered what that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for a while I'm like, now the uncle gets even more fucked up.
It's just.
I mean, and like I don't know how believable that is for the first date where he's like, yeah, I almost cheated. I mean, I like made out with this like high schooler, and then we ended up breaking up, me and her, and I'll probably do that to you, and her being like, well, I guess we'll just have to make it work. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
just meet someone else.
She's not a emotionally stable person. An emotionally stable or rational person wouldn't do that. So for her to do that means.
But people in the real world would do
Yeah.
this thing of being like, we'll make it work, you and me.
Because
why?
everybody likes to think that they're the one that can change somebody.
Yeah.
I've always thought that, like, I'm the one that can change that person.
And you know how that always ends?
I do.
A stab in the heart.
A stab in the heart.
That's at best case.
Best case scenario. I'm going to kind of brush by what's going on with Punpun right now so that we can get to what happens later. But all
he's
that's really,
fucked.
yeah, all that's
He's
really
fucked.
happened to him though is like
He's fucked.
I mean, he's fucked, but like he's emotionally kind of distraught. But
Oh yeah, and just real quick, she like has a promise with if you do something like that, I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
And
Yeah.
it's
A lot of
a parallel between Punpun's like thing
Yes.
as a child being like, oh yeah, if you ever lie to me again, I'll kill you.
Yes.
And then
I mean, we do get like, I really do like her because I think she kind of, you know, for that little bit that she was in the house, she was like, oh, like the mom's like, this is like a family. And it's like, this is nice. And like, they're all like friendly somewhat. Punpun doesn't really give a fuck. He never really did. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But I just felt good for like the mom and the brother that they're like actually like level happy, I guess, right now.
Yeah, you see like it's kind of a bittersweet thing of seeing them like we can make a family out of this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go to luck.
I mean, good luck, but then like just the little things that they say to each other are just so hurtful, and they might not seem like they are, but they are. Like to say like, you know, the mom tells Punpun like, you're a bummer to be around. And then Uncle Yuichi tells him like, yeah, seeing you and Punpun makes me want to get my shit together. Like they say all these things to each other that are fucking really mean.
Yeah, they're mean to each other.
So yeah, they are like a family, I guess, some fucked up version of it. Cody keeps pointing. The pointing's back.
Yeah, Punpun, he like now is like he doesn't even know who he fucking is. He's in a karaoke room with a bunch of other people, and he's just like.
Well, no, this is before.
Is that before?
I mean, that's after. What happens
after
before?
the uncle
What
thing?
happens
It's
before?
a time skip, and he goes to high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, no. But there's this just to kind of cover what happened with him during that time. The match, the badminton match happens.
Oh yes.
And Yaguchi
Yaguchi.
loses.
Mm-hmm.
But and Aiko comes up to Punpun after not having spoken to him
Yeah.
for years and tells him basically that like I forgive you. It's not a big deal that you flaked on me that day. I'm over it.
Mhm.
Let's run away now. And
I said, she really wants to run away. Aiko more like, let's go. Like,
Yeah,
fuck,
it's a more
bitch. Like, why are you trying to leave so bad?
Yeah,
And she even asked Yaguchi. She even told him, like, I want to run away. And he was like, huh, that's a funny joke. And she's
Yeah.
like, I'm not joking.
Hey, I mean that's
she's-
my life.
He's trying to escape a cult.
Yeah.
That's true.
And Punpun in that moment, he could have this thing that he's been wanting for years, for so long. He could have it, but in this moment, he says like, "Nah, you need to go talk to Yaguchi. Like he really likes you."
No, Punpun ultimately he fulfilled the unwritten rule of the gentleman's agreement.
Yes, yes.
Which is,
Yes.
yeah, it's bros before those.
exactly. But there is that weird moment too where he's like holding hands with her, watching the game happen,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, he feels bad about what he's doing, but also he's aware that he likes feeling bad about what he's doing, kind of.
Yeah.
So he's just going through it emotionally. He's having a little bit of he's having a hard time, like you said.
Yeah, it's always having a hard time.
So then he
Speaking
goes
of
in-
having a hard time,
oh
it does
no, I thought you were gonna
Hard?
keep going.
hard. Well, because
Hard.
I mean they do mention he gets excited just from holding hands.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, I've seen this bird jerk off a lot.
Yeah, I said, stop with the boners, you fuck. Like,
Yeah.
That's what we're all thinking, man. No one's happy about it when you're going through puberty.
I mean, yeah, it's a curse.
yeah, I feel bad for you guys.
It's
Honestly.
I'm sure it's like, you know, really difficult for women as well, but like
Not even close.
I
I
feel like-
can't imagine just being like, well, I can't stand up. I can't do anything.
having
like,
your
that
name-
would suck.
Just having your name called and like, all right, come to the front of the class and be like, Oh no, teacher, I cannot do that.
Like something you can't control at all. It's like my right arm out. I'm like, sorry, guys.
It's just randomly your arm right.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing. Like I can't imagine just having a thing that you can visibly see that you can't control. You're like, okay.
I mean, gym class in those shorts, forget about it. You know?
No, yeah, it's just like I'm just gonna sit.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
funny.
it's fucked up because there's so much shame around.
No, I've
it.
gotten like detention because I'm like, no, I'm not.
Detention
Not
for
today.
boner.
I'm like, I guess I'm just the bad boy who won't follow rules.
I'm either that or
I'm
the guy
bad
who's
to
just
the
hard
bone.
all the time. He's bad to the boner.
Bad to the boner.
There we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
I
I
like
like
it.
There we go. We got it.
That's good.
But yeah, so we get another 2-year time skip. Midori moves in with them, and very just kind of out of the blue, we're told that Yuichi is not coming home.
Yes.
She's like, yeah, he'll come back.
He's been missing for like a week.
Yeah.
Back, and I was just like, Jesus. And then it cuts to his ass,
Yeah.
bearded out, fucking
Gross.
on the
Hairs
streets,
on the nose.
very
Gross.
nasty, hairy bird.
Yeah.
Didn't like that at all. Very scary.
He has this moment with the cab driver, and he's like asking the cab driver to drive him to the docks, and
That was an emotional
it
moment.
kind
Yeah.
of really was.
I really liked his character, just this little person you're never gonna see again. I could
Yeah.
just hear his voice. He's like, I was like you once.
I worked for the Yakuza.
I worked for the Yakuza back in the day. And he's just giving him his life story. And he's like, I know why you came out here, but just chill here. I'll come back for you.
And
It's like,
He has this
fucking homie hours.
He has this moment too. Like I wish I had wrote it down when I read it, but it was like he basically tells him that we can't keep hating everything and hating, like using our pain as an excuse to live the way that we live. We have to, by being nice to other people and by like being kind, we're being given kindness. It's like a way to heal. I forget exactly how he words it, but
and the reveal is
it's not worth finding.
the uncle, he cheated on his girlfriend.
Yeah, and we also find out that the mom, Miss Punpun, is selling the house because what we end up finding out later, is because the person that he's cheating on his girlfriend with has a husband who's suing him for emotional damage.
Which, can you do it?
I don't know.
I
if you-
guess so.
If you can, I'm about
Josh,
to make
you
a lot of money.
we gotta make some lawyer calls.
I'm about to be rich, dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing of like, well, to be fair to him, he did tell her he'll probably cheat on her. And, you know, the old phrase of, you know, once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah,
To
if someone
paraphr-
ever told me that, I'm probably going to cheat on you at some point.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, you're cute.
Well, you're cute, so it doesn't matter.
But-
I like a guy with glasses and a beanie.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, you know, to quote Paramore, or
Or to not. You
to
don't have
paraphrase Paramore.
Okay.
Hey, paraphrase Paramore.
Okay.
Once
I
a
don't like-
cheater, you're nothing more.
I feel like you just casted a spell right now.
But it's like a double weight street. Like, you're like, oh, someone cheats on you. It's like, okay, cheat on them.
That's
That's
how you fix
definitely
it?
that's definitely if you that just
It's
negates
just-
it.
It just
And then-
has to. Like, it literally, like, you can't get mad. Like, you literally can't get
as
mad.
as much as I
But they
love the
always
world,
do get mad.
as much as I love the world to work
Always?
that way, it
I
does
never
not-
cheat on. I've never cheated on anyone. I'm just saying in that it just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, like I hate that. Like, I don't know. It's very much.
I'll have another
stupid.
vulnerable. I'll have another vulnerable moment. But like when I was in high school, in the 1920s or whatever, I like
What
the
about
first.
2020s, right?
Huh?
I cheated on the first couple girlfriends that I had when I
Gosh.
was young, when I was in like a junior or senior in high school. Yeah, and but my reason was, and this is how I would, and I'll be 100% honest and vulnerable. I'm not proud of this part of my life, but like, I told myself, and I believed, and I was even almost like proud of it, but I believed that I was just beating them to the punch. That's kind of how I rationalized.
I have
it.
heard that explained to me by a couple people that would, you know, some
Beating
comic-
them to the punch of cheating.
Yeah, some
'Cause you got-
comics.
Now,
would,
really, what that was an excuse for my shit
yeah.
to justify my shitty behavior.
Beating them to the punch, more like.
more like what, Megan?
Yeah, more like what?
Megan,
More like what?
what is it more
Nothing.
like?
No, nothing.
And I haven't, and I, and I realized that was what I was doing as a young person, because I was a young person that had been hurt and was, similar, what felt like a martyr during a period of my life. Like I course corrected and realized that behavior was not okay. And I grew, and I learned a lot about myself, and I chose to try to at least become better. But that stuff happened. Like, I did still do that, and I'm not proud of it. But again, like, I use it as an excuse. I would say, like, well, they're for sure going to cheat on me, and so I'm just going to do it before it happens, because then it won't hurt as much when I find out that they did.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I think I partially believed it, but I think I also partially, like I said, was using it as a justification for my shitty behavior.
Yeah. Cheating's crazy.
I mean, it really is
crazy.
And
I've like been at like a social gathering, and I've just seen someone just in the, like oh, you just cheated on your boyfriend right now at this party, and then them being like, well, we just started dating.
Yeah.
But there's like living separate lives too. Like, okay, I'll see you on this day. That like planning, like, and just like knowing you have like just feeling that, or like. Just for like, like he said, he was like, was she seductive? He's like, she was extremely seductive. And like, it's just, you think with one side of your fucking brain, like your heart and your brain. And like, as I wrote, I like the sex in like love complicates things so fucking much. Like love complicates sex, sex complicates love. And like this story really like showcases how like fucked up it can get, because it's just human fucking behavior, a horny fucking bonk, like it's crazy.
I mean,
and he cheated on his girlfriend with a woman he met at his pottery class, which was a thing. They're like, I'm gonna work at a cafe, and you should get back at working at your pottery thing. And it's just because it was like he wasn't gonna meet a girl outside of that. But like the relationship got him like a pep in his step again to be like,
or you can meet women and not cheat on your significant other. You can't. You can't.
Yeah. And truthfully, like the hardest thing ever is to like come to terms with that behavior, course correct, grow, and then for it to happen to you.
And then you got to be like,
and then you
fair enough.
You have to be like, this is what I get. I deserve this.
Karma police.
But you also can't use that as an excuse to resort to that behavior again. Which is something that nobody has done in Punpun yet. No. Everybody just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, no one grows.
Only fly.
Or they say they want to grow, and then they don't even get a chance, and then it's horrible.
They give a 3-page speech on what growth is, and then they just
that shit fucks me up.
The writing in this, by the way, is some of the best writing I've read in anything. It's so good. It doesn't feel cheesy or corny or. A lot of times when you're writing about these very touching subjects, like it could be like, yeah. But like, this is like very well said and beautifully put, I think, most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I think volume 6 was the one I was most interested in.
Okay. I think we're
pretty much in volume 5 now.
Yeah.
Volume 5 was like, oh yeah, I forgot the other big moment that happened.
Well, this is, I think, coming
the old
right
in and out.
Yeah. Yep. This is basically where Yuichi's not coming home, and Miss Punpun is putting up the house so that she can pay for these legal fees.
That's awesome. That we should go to Japan and just And here's a movie idea. We're gonna sue the world for emotional damages.
I mean, we'll be so fucking rich, dude. But I think what's crazy too is that he's dealing with this, like, Yuichi's dealing with, he doesn't know how to accept kindness at this point either. He's like conflicted about his sister, like, because of how he's felt about his sister. He's conflicted about even taking this money from her.
And it's like, she's selling the house to help me out, and all I've done is resent her and look down on her.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, he has helped her. Like, it's again the thing. Your thoughts, like, aren't always your actions.
But even he knows that he's only really helped her because he's benefited too.
Well, because basically, it was just because he was just living at his parents' house.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it was like, oh, by doing this, I get to say I don't live at my parents' house, and I can say I'm doing something now.
Yeah. So while he's gone, Midori is going through it. She feels lonely. She feels sad.
And I'm going through that sort of like, oh, that is interesting that like Punpun just started high school. She's still in high school. They're closer in age range than her and her.
She's not in high school.
She's not in high school.
Was she before the time skip?
No.
She's been in like out of college. She went to college. She's like a nurse. She's probably like my age or a little older.
All right, I confuse the age with the.
Or I think she's like 25.
The other girl, yeah.
I think she's like 25.
I mean, she's probably in her early mid 20s
now with the 2 years, and I think the 2 years is a good time stamp because a lot changes in 2 years, especially when he's like going into high school, like middle school. Like these are like every 2 years something is new. So I think it's better than like 5 years. And it's just like little glimpses of time is what really showcases the changes that people go through versus like at the end of 5 years, a lot has changed, but 2 years, you clearly see the differences.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying that anything that she's feeling is a justification for what happens, but she feels lonely. She feels sad. She feels a lot of things. And her and Punpun are alone in her coffee shop.
And then we see
bird dick.
Yep.
Bird cock.
Bird.
I said not the bird dick. Oh my FG no.
Yeah, Punpun gets raped.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Not pretty much.
He
gets raped.
Well, because now
she's
I thought
is this okay?
I thought the age gap was much smaller.
No, it's bigger.
It's a big age gap, and then he's like even with just bird facial, you can tell he's like freaked out, doesn't know what to do.
He doesn't want it. It's a weird. There is a power dynamic when it's someone who's older than you and that much older than you, and I mean, even if he in that moment were to like not stop it or even maybe have even said when she says like, is this okay, if he were to like nod, we see that like he doesn't want this, that this is not like that he's going along with it because he doesn't know how to say no, or he feels like he has to, and it's this situation has gotten away from him. So I mean, he was without a doubt 100% raped, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Because we also don't really get to see it from this side a lot.
We don't get to. Oh.
Right.
Oh, okay. You meant in general.
No, it's
okay.
with like boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and there's
because that's the thing. It's like he's talking about sex all the time. He's like, oh, I want to have sex. That's all I think about. Stuff like that. And it's like, oh, you're put in the position where you have it, but it's not the way you want it at all, and it's fucked up.
And it's fucked up because he absolutely 100% doesn't want to do that with this person, and he can't. He sees Aiko. He sees her, and he's like imagining. And even I don't even think she says anything in his memory. He just sees her, and I know.
Yeah,
what he's
it was this like sad thing of like I wanted it to be with her, not this like woman I like that that's dating
it's basically
my uncle.
My family.
Yeah, it's like the reverse of like everybody that stereotype of like the creepy uncle. It's like the reverse of that, and it's this fucking creepy aunt who's not even blood, which still
stepping on,
it's still
because hey, actually they are married.
Oh yeah, they are.
So
at that point they're not married.
No, they're not married
after that. Yeah. Which I mean, that's when it's like, at what point do you call it quits on this relationship?
I know.
I also love the shots of like the glimpses that you get of like what they actually look like in human form. The Punpun family, like you kind of see Punpun's like legs there, and you're like, oh, human Punpun.
Yeah.
Just like a little glimpses of here and there of what they actually look like.
When you see close-ups of their hands, and they're like really well drawn, but like their fingers are really long. It's just like
they're like black
it's like
fingers.
realistic versions of the stick arms that they have. Like they don't cut to them like, oh, here's their normal arm. It's like a realistic doodle arm.
Yeah, there's like a point where like Mama Pumbaa's like putting on her bra or something, and I'm like, there's no one else that could be but her.
Yeah, but we see like it's an actual woman. We see her as a woman, and I don't know, dude. I mean, this sequence of events was really hard to read.
Yeah, he was fucked up.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I think even like I don't know exactly, but I mean, I think the doodle version of him, there's like a tear, coming.
It's always a tear.
Yeah, and it's just like, holy fuck. And
like
it's
another
just,
thing.
And it's just so, the way it's, again, it's so real the way it's like portrayed and shown. I mean, everything about it, the way that just like the sex occurs when she crawls on top of him, and just the panel of her like pulling her underwear. I mean, all of it is just like, it's too real.
And it's so, like, the silence is so loud.
Yeah.
Like, reading it, you're just like, it's so quiet. Like, I could just, like, picture it. Like, you're just like...
would be a good song to go with Punpun is, like, Alive. That song, I'm Still Alive.
Never heard it. Sorry about that.
By Pearl Jam? Maybe
Never
Pearl
heard it.
Jam. Maybe, I'm not sure.
It's a I'm alive.
Oh, I can't sing.
Which Pearl Jam you think is a euphemism for semen?
It is. It's not. I don't think it is. It
I
is.
can feel you. Not that one.
No.
You guys know I don't know songs.
They did that song Jeremy.
I don't know.
Jeremy spoken.
I do know that song. Yeah, I do know that song.
Day. You know, I think they did the they did one where like one of the choruses is about a guy that gets molested by an older woman, and then him just like, because the chorus is like I'm still alive, and it, you know, it's like you throw out all this, I'm still alive.
Yeah, I don't know if this is oversharing, by the way. So stop. So
Love
stop
the
me.
transition.
So stop me if it is. But I mean, I was in an experience that was similar to this. I don't think I was as young, but I was still I was still like, I think 17 years old or something like that. And I had an ex-girlfriend who ran away with another guy that she met on the internet, and her mom called me over to like talk about like, you know, her daughter that went missing. And so I went over to try to sort things out, and her mom like
Shame on you.
like pretty much tried to have sex with me.
Oh my god.
And in a very like sort of like aggressive way. And at the time I smoked cigarettes, and she smoked cigarettes too, the mom. And so like I didn't know how to respond, and I didn't know, this is how I can sympathize with Punpun, because like I couldn't say no. Like I couldn't say I didn't want it to happen. I didn't want it to happen because she was older, or because like there was still this weird thing of like me wanting to be liked. I couldn't say no. So, but I also couldn't go through with it. So like what I did was I told her that like I wanted to do it, but then
God.
I chopped my penis off.
They cut my dick off. It don't work.
My dick don't work.
My dick don't work, woman.
That would be good. But I just told her, I was like, I really want this to happen, but I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Can I just go smoke a cigarette outside and just kind of like get my nerves? And I'm not exaggerating or making this up. As soon as I got out of the door, I ran. Like I ran as fast as I could. And so like reading that was sort of like, fuck, man. You know, like, because I understand like people, I don't know, I understand not being able to say like, I don't want this to happen.
No, the first time
Megan's face.
First time I did stuff, I didn't want to do it. But it was just like I'm supposed to do this as a guy.
Yeah.
But like I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, we don't hear about that as often.
No.
You know?
Yeah, it was just like I'd like to get to know you more. I don't want to. But I'm like I have to do this as a guy. Like I can't like say no. I feel like I can't say no.
Yeah. Because it's like guys are supposed to be these like horn dogs who like, yeah, I fucked her good. You know.
Yeah.
That's like all they talk about. So I mean, I can empathize with even that. You know. It's the story brings up a lot of touchy subject. Brings a lot out of me and a lot of memories up.
I'll find out what song that is.
I
think we'll sing. We'll play that together when we go on the road.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy spoken last day.
I also want to. I don't want to spend a whole. Okay. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here. But what's up with the good vibrations?
I love it.
I'm so confused.
A good vibration.
Right, there's a cult forming that's trying to spread good vibrations throughout the globe. And there's forces at work that we're going to cancel out here. And we're going to good vibration.
You love it. Every time they come up, I'm like,
it.
I don't know
Good
what's
vibrations.
happening. What do you get out of it? What do you like? Is there like a deeper meaning to you, or are you just having fun?
I think this is it's meant for fun. Like
Okay.
when they show the whole group, like I just had fun. It was a fucking relaxer. I needed a little fucking break from it's like not reality. They're living not in reality. Like they're funny names.
Yes.
And the way they're introducing themselves and their backstory, like it's all just fake, funny nonsense.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah.
a really
And
good
I think
point.
that's what it was to prove, like the deeper meaning of like religion in this setting of people just latching on to something so that they have something to latch onto.
No matter how silly it
No
is.
matter how silly it is. For Punpun, it's this god that does nothing for him, the poop god. Like religion is definitely super prevalent in how they lead themselves in this world.
But they're almost like they almost add this like ticking clock to the story, like because the
You
world's gonna
think?
yeah, you think, because the world's gonna end in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Which we get told that every 3 years. They're
Every
like,
3
this
years.
time it's gonna end. Everyone's like, oh, I hope it's soon.
Yeah,
And
no,
it
I
just-
got my math wrong. It's in the next 3 years. I
Yeah.
fucked up.
And then we're like, we're still alive, you asshole.
Well, they're just like, at this point we can also talk about Psyche.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that
Oh,
whole
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah,
very
yeah.
important.
I think we
It's in
kind of
volume
even skipped
5.
right over
That,
Yeah, I know.
that's its whole own story of him and then the snot-nosed friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just get into the Seki story, which was a whole nother thing that I feel like got lost in the sauce because there's so many other things going on. But since this is a character that you really connect with, Cody, maybe this was a really powerful moment in this. I feel like I'm making fun of you.
Yeah.
Maybe this was a real powerful moment in this series. For you.
Yeah, what
I think it was super important because it's like, there's people that are abused and hurt and stuff like that. But like, this is the first time we're actually seeing death. Like someone so close to committing murder.
Well, yeah.
There's been atrocities, sure, and like instances, but never like murder. Like that has not been.
where the kid
A thing.
almost becomes a hitman.
He
Yeah.
does become a hitman, pretty much.
I mean, he
gets-
slid into that role very quickly.
Yeah, no, he's like, oh, I gotta go. I need some money. You got this cleanup duty, right? And the kid's like, it's
Yeah,
just,
because when the snot-nosed kid is like, oh, I can see the dead, but I'm not gonna. And the adult's even like, honest, I get it, man. But the thing with that is like, I'm sorry, isn't that something like the hospitals do?
Yeah,
or
isn't
even
there
the
a-
police.
Yeah, isn't
or-
there a service that cleans up, and a government service,
Yeah.
not just like someone you could call a 1-800.
There was
Like,
like
I
a
don't- I-
realtor. It was
you-
a real. It was the realtor.
yeah, but it's
So
not a
he
realtor's
owned the
job.
house. I guess. I know it's not. It's not. Definitely not. But I don't know what their policies
That's the thing.
are.
Like, can you just be like, I'll take care of the body?
Yeah.
Like, if you report a dead body, like, do they charge you to take it out?
Also, why are you recruiting children to help you with this job?
yeah, no one else
Yeah.
wants to do it.
I mean, I guess, but it was interesting because it's like death and one person is dealing with a dead body, someone who was a shut-in, and someone who succumbed to religion and started selling water.
The water from the cult.
Yeah, see how things kind of all tie together?
We have someone running from death and someone like running to have someone else die.
yeah.
Murder.
Yeah,
running
towards
from death,
murder.
running towards death. So
Yeah.
it's like two different contrasts of the two characters and how they like work so well together because they're, opposite.
Yeah, and what makes it work so well is it's all sort of, we're given the entire premise of what this couple chapters is going to be through Seki's monologue that he has on that bench that I talked about previously. And it's, him talking about how life is all, nothing matters. Like everything is, we all think we're free. We can all take our clothes off and strip and run down the street, but we can't because of religion and the things that we're taught. And life is a contradiction. And he's talking about
Society.
yes, we live in a society.
That's what I wanted to get to in my notes here, which is like sometimes the only thing to do is just laugh at the chaos of the world.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for being here, Jared Leto. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day.
If you think we're all clowns, what an asshole.
Yeah, what a fucking asshole. Yeah, I mean it's crazy though because he basically chalks it up at the end to something as I don't know the right word, but something as that changes on a whim.
It's
It's the weather. He basically
people's fates
chalks it
can
up
change
to-
just like the weather, just as fast as
Well,
the
yeah, because he
Yeah.
like almost pushed the guy, and it was. The thing is, like, it would have been really easy to just kill that guy, and
Yeah.
he needed the money for his family. It wasn't even like a selfish thing. It was like, we're gonna be out on the streets if I don't get this money, and it's just like just one push is all it would have taken, and he's like, yeah, because like if the weather was different, like it could have changed his mood enough to be like,
Yeah. Which is crazy that
weather changes moods.
whatever fate, whatever god of weather, like he refers to in that chapter, whatever it is, there are little things like almost like butterfly effects that make the course of life kind of takes the course that it's always going to take. Like, I don't know. It was just like this, like really kind of powerful moment for
Yeah,
Seki
I mean,
to have.
I mean, I found that to be the case in real life. You know, the weather usually. I mean, the reality is like weather's affecting my mood, but like weather's usually relevant to the things that are happening in mine and other people's lives.
So
you
it's
know,
music
Yeah.
for you.
I don't believe in a lot of things, but the thing is, I usually put stock in like whatever song plays on the radio during like events in my life. They're usually relevant to what's happening, and I'm at a point where that is something I have faith in, which is I'll like if I hear a song, I'll be like, oh, that not only is that relevant, that's not a good sign, and then it'll end up being right, and I'm like, well, c'est la vie.
Yeah, c'est la vie. But yeah, that was a really powerful moment, and you know that's when we see the poop god again, and that apartment comes back later on in the series, that studio apartment. But I think we're at the point in the story now where Punpun meets. I want to say Azusa because there's a city close by to us that's called Azusa, and it's spelled.
Should I look it up?
It's spelled the same way. But I just feel like it's not pronounced that way. So if anybody out there is like, it's not pronounced that way, it's because there's a city close to where I live.
That's
It's
Azusa.
pronounced Azusa and spelled the same way. But yeah, he meets her, and I this is where I'm back. I'm back relating to Punpun again because, first of all, his grandpa died.
Oh yeah.
And he had no attachment to his grandpa, and his mom, whose dad it was, had no real attachment to him either. So he doesn't even really care about all of this that's happening around him. He's far more concerned about his date with this girl.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of those things where I mean, that'll happen with like, oh, your great uncle died. I'm like, I never met that person in my life. I would care if a friend died more than like that guy.
Well, and that's why I say I'm back relating to Punpun because there's a conversation he has with that girl on a ledge that is like a mirror conversation of a conversation I've had before with somebody. Like it was like someone was holding up a mirror, at least just in those few lines of dialogue. But yeah, he's at a point too where he's just kind of shutting down and he's shutting everybody else out of his life because he's in his head all the time. And his mom doesn't know how to handle it. So she's taking it out on him. His silence is making her angry because
the violence of his silence.
The violence of his silence because it's holding up a mirror to her and she's forced to like sort of
realize what she's done.
Yeah.
Up until this point.
That's
to
the thing
him.
about being mad about a kid. Like, well, you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because Cody used to and still does sometimes do this thing where he'll just like be quiet sometimes, and you realize like the person who feels the need to keep commenting on what's happening, they're just digging their hole deeper and deeper and deeper, and Cody's just sitting back quietly, and it's funny because although you do it as a joke, like it's funny because it works. It works.
Silence is so loud.
Yeah, I'll see the panic in his eyes, being like, you know, and then and then this also happened. I'm like, okay, you can stop.
But I think it's funny too because, I mean, Mama Punpun is like doesn't know how to. She's trying to get through to him sometimes, and sometimes she doesn't care. She's just frustrated.
She gets frustrated, and she's like, "Well, fuck you then."
Yeah.
And then also, just side note, she is the affair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she is the affair, and it's with a guy who she works with, which for a second I thought was good. For a second, I thought when Seki was contracted to do that job, I thought that was the wife of the guy that she's having an affair with, but it's not. Either way, she tells Punpun that guy's going to come over, and so don't come home at all. Don't, yeah.
Just stay out.
The pointing's back. The pointing's back.
I assume you've been in a situation like that.
Oh, there's been plenty of nights where I just haven't gone home. I haven't. In my past, I used to not come home for days at a time. But not because my parents were getting railed. You know, I mean, maybe they
at
were.
least there's that.
Yeah, at least there's that.
Well, yeah, you always find the silver lining. You would be gone from your home, but not because your parents were getting railed out.
Yeah, I'm an optimist till the end. But this is where Punpun also becomes an exhibitionist and starts taking his clothes off in public.
Yeah, because he wants to just be caught. and like
Yeah.
go to prison, I guess.
I don't know if I think he maybe just wants to be seen, you know,
and I think that's something we can all relate to.
yeah. And he cares. He has nowhere to go, but he also can't get this date out of his head. He's really excited, and he does. I think, you know, what I think a lot of people do, and you know, there's this thing, future tripping or expecting, you know, expectations or resentments and waiting, all this stuff. He pretty much plans out this entire date.
Yeah.
Yeah, like super like very planned, executed, like, oh, this is gonna go exactly this way. Totally. It has to. There's no other way. Like it's gonna happen.
This,
and you're like,
this,
bruh.
and this.
Yeah. And it's another thing that I think we all do. And it's like, this is another part of the manga where he plays with the panels just so beautifully. There's like paragraphs. It's just like, there'll be a little panel of something and then just a black box and a long paragraph of Punpun just detailing this story in his mind. And, you know, it's sad again because you know that there's no world in which that's going to happen.
No, yeah, I mean, I think we both do that from just online dating, where you're like, ooh, and then we can meet, hopefully, and then you like, oh, we don't even have anything to say to each other.
Yeah.
You know, like we fell apart like before phase 1 even started.
Why did I think it was going to go farther than that?
Damn.
And that's what happens. I mean, this girl, and that's another moment too, where this girl asks him, because like Megan, you were saying, they met at a karaoke bar. They were at a karaoke bar or in a karaoke room with other students, and neither of them wanted to be there. Punpun's also gelling his hair at this point.
I like it. He's gone goth.
I like it. I like his hair, and then like the maracas. When he has the maracas and he's like smiling. He makes some fucking funny faces.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It doesn't take much for Punpun to be happy. And
It's just kind of nice, but kind of sad.
But that's the sad thing, is he's not happy.
No, not at all.
He doesn't even get those things, those little things.
No.
Because the second something goes in his favor, he's like, all right, let's do this.
And he doesn't, and he almost doesn't even know what to do with it when he gets it.
It got to a point where I was under the impression those smiles were like fake.
Yes. Yeah. Every time it was those real cheesy kind of smiles. Yeah.
Yeah, fake.
Yeah, practicing smiles in the mirror so people weren't weirded out by him. Yeah.
Did someone in this room do that? But they both don't want to be there. She says, and this is another part that I love too. She says, hey, Punpun, we should hang out. Or he asks her, like, I think he asks her very upfront, like, we should hang out. And she's like, my sister's having an art showing. Do you like art? And it cuts to his internal monologue, and he's like, fuck no, I don't. Yeah. He's like,
fuck no.
But out loud, he's like, yeah, of course, let's go.
And that's one of those things. Like during the break, he'll be like, and I hated art, and I hated your sister's art.
Yeah. And dude, this whole date, I mean, boy, have I been there. You know, not the very end, but
I was like, Jesus.
That moment where you're like, on paper, you psyched yourself out. You think this is all you think this is gonna be your wife. You're like, yeah, we're gonna get married. We're gonna have kids.
The classic road you go down the second you're like, well, date 1, that's gonna be date 2, date 3. And our kids will be named.
Yeah. And then you get there and there's just no connection. And you're doing what you think people should do. But the thing is, the red flag is that those things come natural to those people. And you're like I mentioned earlier, you're with Yuichi, you're doing an impression of what those people do. You're like, oh yeah, people open doors and people, they pay for things and people,
he's just thinking about it versus just doing it. Like he's internalizing it before he actually does it versus someone who are just like, oh, this is just my instinct. It's not his instinct to do these things.
No.
So
yeah. I mean,
going against them by thinking about it and then doing them.
It's one of those hard things too, where it's like some people don't like doors held open for them. Like, oh, that's rude, or like, oh, what do you think I need my door open? Like, okay, but tradition says I should do this.
Yeah,
and I should do this, but you don't even know if that's going to be like wanted.
Yeah, that could be the thing that sets people off and makes people upset. And makes the people,
which it was making her. She's like, I can pay for it.
Yeah, I did get that sense too, that she was a little annoyed.
Yeah. Especially, and he's like, no, I will pay for the meal. And then she's like, no, I can buy my own shit.
Well, yeah, she's like, you spent so much money on that arcade game. Like, I got this. And he's like, no, I got this too. And she's like, okay. But yeah, nothing's going good for them. they're in a bad way, but they get to the gallery. They meet her sister, and they meet a character who is going to come back and be, I'm assuming, a really big part of the story later on, Sachi. And they go and they're looking at, which is, I think, is a really cool thing. I'm sure this is done in real life, but I've never seen it done before. And I thought, wow, that's something I'd like to participate in, as corny as that sounds. But where they leave little notebooks by the paintings, and you get to kind of write what you felt while you were looking at it.
That's risky.
Yeah, that is risky. But I mean, as someone who like painted that'd be really cool to see how it's affecting people and to see what people's like emotions.
That's YouTube comments before they were a thing.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's the internet before the internet. You're right.
Yeah.
But he sees that's where, and I've seen this panel plastered all over the internet when people talk about Punpun. He sees this, 4 canvas sort of painting of the galaxy, of the stars, and it takes him back full circle to that moment at the miso factory with his friends when they were kids, when life was crazy but life was simple, and kind of back to this moment where he was the most whole he had ever been, and now his life did not go according to plan.
Oh yeah, is that when he remembers like his family, like when they were starting off and they were like, we just got a new house and we're gonna do this, and like just like their family at one point was happy.
Yeah. And again, like I don't even know if I think that his family was always doomed though.
Oh yeah. But like just those brief moments before they're like, yeah, we'll make this work. Yeah. You and me, we're gonna do this. Me and Punpun.
It's what you have to tell yourself when you're in that position. You can't just give. Well, I mean, people just don't give up. They're like,
to be happy, you have to lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that they say in this series too.
They
say that. They say that happiness.
I didn't expect an agreement.
Like they say that happiness isn't a state of consciousness. It's like it's an emotion of a moment or something. Again, they say it way better, but they say that in this series. Mm-hmm. They say that it's not a state. Happiness isn't a state of being. It's a way to describe moments or how you feel in moments.
Yeah, the thing about happiness is you never know you had it until you don't have it anymore.
That's the saddest thing you've ever said.
Really?
I was like,
yeah.
It's been a lot more. But yeah, then they're at this date, and then they're like under a bridge, and like Punpun's like, I got condoms, bitch. What we doing?
Which I think it's implied that he got the condoms from his mom's lover.
Some other fucked
and
up shit.
props to Punpun then, because his mom does say out loud that her lover's packing. So thanks work for Punpun. Good for him.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, Punpun. Which, because we're also we're also forgetting that simultaneously while Punpun is on this date, his mom is undergoing surgery, because what we forgot to mention is that while she was having this affair, his mom loves pulling knives out on men.
She thinks it's funny.
Oh yeah,
she's like, I'm not gonna stab you, it's just funny.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna stab a horrible man like you.
Is that when, like,
You're
when
not
he's
worth it.
staring at the galaxy, they get the flashback? Is that when they show like what really happened with that fight?
I don't think it's necessarily at that moment, but it's around this time. So I think we could talk about that.
When she's like reminiscing of her past relationship with her husband.
Yeah, because all we saw of it was like they got into a fight, and then he's like, "Oh, Robert knocked her out," and
which shouldn't be funny, but she's just like on the floor, and Punpun comes in, and he's like,
yeah, with her, comically long bird titties.
I thought those were her arms for the longest time, and she was just like.
But then it's revealed what really happened, and she pulled a knife on him too,
and said, "I'm gonna kill Punpun."
Yeah.
And then the dad he was like, "Stop! You have to stop this!" And he bashed her with a microwave.
And then she was like,
which was the second time she tried to kill Punpun.
Yeah. Which it was. So that was like, so the dad didn't really do anything bad. He stopped a woman from killing a child.
But and then when we do meet the dad later, which we'll get to when we get to that part, like he is just like this really like sleazy kind of
he's slimy
guy.
He doesn't give a shit. I mean,
but he's not inherently a bad guy. That's what's kind of weird is like, at least like right now, like he's not a good guy, but he's not like a Yuichi or a I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to say Punpun because Punpun's going through it, and I'm rooting for him, but his dad doesn't seem to have done anything terrible. He's just like an unpleasant person.
Yeah.
Well, not unpleasant. He just seems like he's the how like you see people at restaurants and diners who just keep trying to make jokes with the wait
It's
staff.
just cheesy
Yeah,
and lonely.
and you can just start telling like this is a facade you have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You're hiding your sadness through this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you could like you said, you could see right through it. But during that flashback, and we see what happened. We see the truth of what happened, which again, part of me, like, I don't believe anything I'm being shown, like, because later on she does say that she was abused, and I think that he did abuse her. So I don't know if his abuse got her to that point, or if, I just don't want to say for sure that she was a crazy person that pulled out a knife out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. Part of me thinks that maybe she was brought to that point. I mean, still that, she's fucking
Well, I mean,
crazy,
he was a
but
drunk.
He was a drunk. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, I do think that he played a part in getting her there too.
Yeah.
He's not innocent in all this. But anyway, when she's with her new lover, she ends up like having this like weird breakdown where she's telling him that she's going to tell this guy's wife about their affair and that she's going to kill him, and then she's going to kill herself, and that she's going to be reincarnated as his sperm, and she's going to impregnate his wife.
Which that's something
Yeah.
to be like.
Yeah, she's extra crazy, and then she tries
You're
to.
just holding a knife as you're being held at knife point. And I'm gonna come back as your sperm, as your daughter. I'm gonna ruin your life.
Yeah, he was very cool about the whole thing. Dude. Too chill.
That is as how crazy and deep of a threat that is.
It's so wild. Even reading that, I was like, God damn, crazy.
The ultimate.
She's just JK.
She's like, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
she's
JK.
like, no, I'm gonna do it to myself, and then she tries to stab her fucking throat.
Yeah.
And then she has like a heart palpitation or whatever, and she like falls to the ground. She's like,
Yeah, and we find out that she just has a hole in her lung, probably from smoking or something, and she's in the hospital, and she's gonna have to have surgery. Oh yeah, we have smoked before,
oh, me?
both of us, and so she's gonna go through surgery, and while she's having surgery, Punpun's on his date, but also she's kind of going through it. We'll talk about the guy she meets at the hospital after Punpun's date, but she's kind of going through it at the hospital. She's suffering with loneliness, and she's kind of dealing with the repercussions of pushing everybody away in her life, and she sees everybody else in the hospital being helped, whether by nurses or family members, and she's like, I have nobody, and it's really like hitting her that she has nobody, and she's being her same sort of self, where she's kind of like roasting people because I feel like that's just like that's the only way she knows how to like function. I guess she's too, and she says it, she's like, I have to pee, but I don't want to ask. I can't bring myself to ask for help. Like, she's so prideful.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I really like this part of the story.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably my favorite part, like, so far.
Really?
Yeah. Because it just, like, it's like it's someone who's the closest to Punpun, who's shaped him for what he is as of right now. And you see that, fucked up people make more other fucked up people sometimes. And, like, it's the clear pointing finger at, like, you're fucked up and you decided to spread that along and put it on your children when they had nothing to do with it, and it's just your sad life.
Yeah,
and now you have to stew in your sad life.
It's the whole breaking the cycle thing. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be the person to break the cycle, or if you don't, it is a cycle.
Yeah.
And it will just keep repeating itself. But and we'll talk about that, because I do love a big part of that story too. But now we're back to Punpun on his date, and this is where it takes a turn. She's
God
already
damn.
out on him, but he's like
pushing.
he's pushing it.
He's pushing
Yeah,
it
he
because
goes
he
for a
wants it to be
kiss.
real.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is one of those things, like, he is I mean, he definitely has a messed up understanding of relationships at this point.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get the vibe.
Yeah,
Like, because he's only worrying about himself.
he doesn't get the vibe, and also, like, and this is the mirror part of the conversation that I experienced, was when she says, they're both sitting there in silence, and there's that moment of, this is where, if I'm going to do something, this is where it's like okay to do, right?
This is when you go in for a kiss,
Yeah.
an all or nothing big kiss, just like in the movies.
Yeah, not later on when he actually does it. But he doesn't act on it. He doesn't say anything, and she goes, "Okay, well, I think I'm going to go home. Our parents are probably going to be pretty upset if we're not home." And he goes, "No, my mom's in surgery right now. No big deal."
She's like,
And she's like, "You should be there."
yeah.
And he's like, I mean, why? And I think his internal monologue is like, Punpun just didn't understand why she reacted that way. He just sincerely had no idea why she freaked out. And he's like, no, she's fine. And he says, like, me being there isn't going to, like, change anything. And she's like, yeah, good point. But also, like, you should want to be there. And he's like, what? Why? And I've, maybe not with my mom or dad necessarily or specifically, but I've had, things with my family where people go like, oh yeah, you should do this for this person, or you should feel this way for that person. And to me, it's like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, just because like I didn't have that relationship with my family, and what Punpun feels and what she feels towards Punpun is she even, because her sister's painting that they saw in the art gallery was of their mom. So family is very important
To her.
And she reiterates that when she says, "Oh, you painted dad last year, you painted mom this year, maybe you're going to paint me after this." So she immediately feels attacked by Punpun and says like, were you laughing at my sister's painting then? Did you find that ridiculous? And it's this idea, and it's like kind of like a thing that I've for sure struggled with, where it's like my relationship with my family is so detached. Especially on my dad's side, they abused each other. So we were never allowed to be around them because my dad was afraid that they would abuse us. So we just never got to know them.
Yeah.
So when I would be around people who were really close to their family, I didn't know how to really act. I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to function because I felt like I was the crazy person, even though to me, they were the crazy person.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they were crazy. It's just that I didn't get it. So when I see Punpun have this like interaction with this girl and him struggling to like, he doesn't know why it's a big deal, but then he realizes it is a big deal. I mean, watching that interaction and that dialogue exchange was like, it was kind of like, it was another point where it was really rough.
Yeah.
And it's not an excuse for what he does after that, but
See, this is why I can't keep making excuses for him. Like, it's like fucking people get fucked up lives and they have to deal with it. Just don't do fucked up things to other people. Like, that's all you can try to do as a fucking good human being. Like, that's all you can do. And when you try to project it onto other people and try to do things you're not supposed to do, it's not a cute look. I could feel so much more worse for him if he's not just starting to do bad things. Like, he's starting to do things that it's questionable, or it's just, I don't know. He's getting into territory where I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't support you in real life. I don't know if I could support you.
yeah.
Like,
I think it's supposed to be the tragedy that like he doesn't even understand what anything is anymore.
yeah, he's so far
I mean,
from
how
reality.
long has this been since he got raped? I mean,
that's
Like
a good
2
point too.
years?
His whole like idea of relationships and sex and what that is warped from that
Yeah.
experience.
so I don't think it's supposed to be like I think it's supposed to be a tragic thing of like, yeah, this guy he's broken beyond.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good point too, because it's only been at most 2 years since.
He hasn't talked to anyone about it. He hasn't gotten any help for it.
That's true.
And that's his understanding of like that interaction now.
Yeah, and what's so crazy too, and I think what incites this sort of like, again, I don't want to make excuses for his behavior, but like, he keeps getting called a virgin at the gallery. At the gallery, he keeps getting called a virgin, and it's just like this word that like rings in his ear.
Which is crazy because, yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's for a guy, that's an insult. But like for someone in his age, he's like, he wanted to be.
Yeah, he's like, I fucking wish I was, or maybe not. I wish I was, but I wish I wasn't not a virgin under these circumstances.
Yeah.
It's really weird because it's just like it
And like I think
thing.
that's part of the helplessness in that situation is like people would think he was cool if he like told them.
Yeah,
And it's this weird thing of like there's nowhere to go to. Where do you? And they're like, yeah, you virgin. He's just like, I mean, which is worse, being made fun of for being a virgin or revealing that you were raped as a child?
Yeah. It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
For him socially at least, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, and he doesn't know how to handle these types of interactions, and it is a tragic thing to see, and it's a sad thing to see.
Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be like as an excuse so much as you're seeing his life and him fall apart.
It's not so much as an excuse. It's more just like I understand these are the circumstances. I understand that he's fucked up and it's only to get more fucked up from here. But like,
yeah,
not everyone does that.
Yeah,
not everyone's like, I don't know. I'm just like, I just know it's like rooting. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, but just I know this is the only way you know. But
right. You want to see him not do those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wish. But it's fine. We're going to get there. No.
I mean, who knows how this story's going to end. But, yeah, they basically...
I think, Punpun's been a bird who can't fly, and it's going to end with him finally flying away from his town and finding a better future for himself.
I highly doubt that.
And the final shot is just going to be him and as an adult and not as a cartoon. That's what I'm guessing.
I highly doubt it.
Okay.
But at the end of this interaction is just him kind of forcing himself on her, but just to kiss her. It's not like he's like whipping his dick out.
No, not yet.
Not yet. He does do that after she leaves.
After she leaves in public.
But she slaps him, and she gets very offended, and then Punpun does. After that happens, it shouldn't take getting to that point, but it does take getting to that point for him to feel like an immense amount of shame, and for him to like feel like, oh no, my life is ruined. Like she's gonna go tell everybody what I did, and like I forced myself on this girl, and he feels like crazy. Like he feels like he's fucking the worst human being ever. He feels like his uncle, in a weird way, I think. And I think that's sort of that cycle that's going to keep repeating. But
meanwhile, his mom is forming a relationship with another like
son.
Boy. Yeah, she's just like having this like much healthier relationship with some random boy she just met.
Yeah.
And it's like talking to him like a good mother would talk to her son.
Yeah, actually just talking to him.
Yeah, and being like, man, I wish my son was like you.
Does wonders.
Does sort of like imply that she does find him attractive.
She says it like twice, and I'm like, okay, chill.
Yeah, because she gets like a haircut, and they're like, oh, this is like for you're trying to attract younger men.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
I think this is one of the last major kind of parts of these few volumes, and this is the story I think that you connected with the most, right?
Because this is before the big finale for her character,
right?
Because the classic going to a hospital for a thing and then being like, by the way, have you considered getting an X-ray because you probably have cancer?
Well, they she says it when she's talking to him in the first place that her mother died of breast cancer. And that she was traveling abroad, and
she couldn't see her, didn't want to. Yeah,
didn't even go to the funeral, and that her dad and her brother Yuichi didn't even think twice about it because they kind of wrote her off a long time ago as this like crazy, whether party animal or just like cold-hearted, selfish person. And so we do get to see a lot more of her, and it's sad. But what about this part of the story did you really connect with? Did you like just being able to see this person as more of a human being?
Yeah, I like seeing more of her like story and how she came to be in this situation, because if we're talking about like, oh, sad life, sad circumstances, and people do, it's like it's the same thing with Punpun. Like he's just acting out because this is how his life is right now. And like her realizing this like towards the end of her life, she doesn't know it yet, but she just like, fuck, dude, I could have been a better mom. Like, I want to be a better mom. Like, she wants to change, like, towards the end. And her just, like, looking back on her regrets and, like, the whole, paneling when she's, like, talking, like, you see her, like, in middle school. And then her whole life kind of, like, flash before her eyes. And then she's like, my life's horrible. Your guys' life has to be horrible, too. Just, like, that selfish, like, everyone told me I was gonna be someone and I'm nothing now, and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah,
it's so sad. It's so like real, and I was just like, I like this person is real. Like this is regrets that you have, and then you fucking just die.
Yeah, and it's so crazy for her to talk about. Like you said, it's this cycle, and it's crazy for her to talk about these things, and maybe part of her not wanting to have a kid is because there's a panel too where she's, being told that she's the older sister, so she's gonna have to pretty much help raise Yuichi since their mother is dead now, and so I'm sure that she has resentments towards him, and that's why she wanted to just run away like Aiko and go and just like abandon all this responsibility and run away. And that's why, she felt like she was getting trapped again when she had a kid. And that's, and it's just like you're starting to realize, yes, why she is the way she is.
Now, when did the letter, because that's when it creates a whole new context to that character.
God.
And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. That's at the very end of their interaction because they meet. And then the way he reveals sort of why he's there is also, like, I think very well done from a storytelling point of view. But it's also, like, wild because at first you think he's there. He has a broken leg. He says he got hit on a bike. He was riding his bike and he got hit by a truck. And so they're talking.
The boy
kid
that she's formed a rapport with.
Yeah, he got in an accident, and then he releases that like his girlfriend is in the same hospital.
Was riding
shotgun.
And was like, this is dangerous. We shouldn't do this.
She got fucked up.
And that he's just going like, shut up.
And it's so like he's like, I'm scared, I don't want to talk to her, and the mom's just like thinking about her life and like her husband, and like just like you have to, like, if you want this person, like, what you think she's gonna be angry with you, like, just do it. Like, life's too short to like second guess or like wonder what if,
And that's where she has that heartfelt moment where she's basically sharing and being vulnerable. And telling him that all she wanted her ex-husband, who she's now admitting she still loves, all she wanted him to say were like 3 phrases, which are like, it's going to be okay, I love you, and that I'm sorry, pretty much. And she's just like, these are the only 3 things I wanted to hear. And he never said them, so you should say these things to her while you still can, because, life is fucked up and you might never get the chance to say these things again. And so she's also being like really open towards him, and she's telling him, kind of a little bit maybe too much about her life. And it's only weird because she does, like I said, have like mentioned that he's handsome, and she's like, oh no, don't think like that, and it's like, okay, chill. And then, like you said, going to get her hair done and everything like that. But then, yes, that's when she receives the letter from him. She goes and she like gets her hair done, and she goes to buy him like chocolates, and goes because she's also sharing a room with the girlfriend.
Yeah, she realizes, and she's like, oh,
yeah,
her face got fucked up.
Oh yeah, never mind.
Don't say sorry. You might want to pick a new girl.
I would just move on.
But they sharing a room, and then he gets a letter from the kid saying like, I listened to you, like, I'm gonna say sorry, like, thank you for everything. And it's just like this. I think just this, like, her helping one person just, like, kind of made her feel better. Like, she has never helped her son. She's never helped really anyone in her life. And this helping, like, this one person, just giving them advice like a mom should.
But
yeah, being like, I could have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
She immediately undercuts, before the letter is even done being read, she screams and verbally abuses Punpun again.
Yeah, because she's mad that's not
Punpun,
her
like,
son.
isn't saying anything.
Yeah, because she's talking, she's explaining, like, oh yeah, I'm back from the hospital, blah blah. But it's just like,
yeah, it's because
she's like, God damn it,
yeah. It's because, like, her perception of love is like she has an idea of how someone should be responding to the love that she's giving them, and if they're not responding the way that she wants them or needs them to respond, then they must not give a fuck about her. Then they must, not care, like, which is like the love languages thing that we talked about. It's like she is.
Yeah, me and Josh have both gone through that book.
Someday we'll put it to good use.
No, that was the funnest thing. Is I would listen to the 5 love languages book while like unloading containers. I'm just like,
dark, big, empty containers.
What are your guys' love languages?
You know what? I kind of forgot.
Quality time and acts of service.
I like quality time.
Yeah, I think quality time is mine too. Yeah. It does sound like I just said that to be cool. But
Or like there's one that receiving gifts. Like that's the most like
Yeah.
funny one.
Gift giving.
Yeah, gift receive. Yeah, my love language is receiving gifts.
That's like, okay, so you don't count.
but I will say, yeah, you don't count like kind of fuck you,
If
but at
you
the same
make
time,
like your own stuff, it's more heartfelt. But just like I want cash.
but at the same
Yeah, because there's a difference, right? There's ones like receiving gifts, but also receiving money.
yeah.
right. But when
Moolah.
it was explained when it was explained in this book,
Number 6.
it was put a beautiful.
Moolah.
It was put in a very beautiful way that made me understand it.
Moolah.
Moolah.
Moonats.
But yeah, she her and Punpun are still not on good terms. And then she goes into the X-ray and she has cancer. And then it's very short.
Another 2 year
Another
time
2 years and
skip, and then we should say that every time. Another heartbreaking thing is every time it takes that 2 year time skip, it's marked with Goodnight Punpun every time, and then it's like 2 years later.
And Punpun was doing all right.
Oh, we do gotta talk about that. We gotta talk about that whole chapter.
so
but
oh god, this is another fucking heart-wrenching part. So she's, telling him on her deathbed, like, I've loved you, I'm sorry, blah blah, the things you say.
My bad.
My bad.
Yeah.
And Punpun's like, crying too, and then just like the panels like, and he never really loved his mom even then.
yeah.
That was just like,
And she's even kind of like touching his face, like, this is our relationship, huh? We fucking hate each other. But because even in that moment, she's trying to still find some common ground, even if that common ground is like.
One for the road, kid.
Even if that common ground is their dislike for each other,
Yeah.
like, can we at least have that in common?
no, that
You know?
it was pretty. It was sad.
Is
I
that
was
one of the
like,
moments
damn.
that you cried?
Yeah. Oh no. Because I was like, literally, I wrote like, oh my god, I thought she died. Oh my g. When she had that like vision of her dying in surgery, I was
Yeah.
like, no, fuck.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh no, she's fine. And then I put no, like literally 2 panels after that, she's like, you have cancer. I was like, fuck. But the part when they get back to the home and what's her name, Maiko Midori is like, oh here, like your mom wanted to give this to you.
This
He,
was
like,
the part that
He opens it up and you realize that all the letters that he was sent from his dad were
Once a
actually
month.
from his mom.
Yeah.
because his dad was like, I'm gonna have to go away I'm getting a job on the moon, and I'm gonna go do this stuff, and that's why you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
And he would receive a letter once a month about how like, and then on this moon I found aliens, and
Dear Punpun, I'm really sorry for lying to you all this time, pretending to be your dad and and I don't know what that says. To you was the only way
And lying to you.
lying to you was the only way I could meddle. Please forgive me for being selfish. Like it like
So,
yep.
did she, was that her form of like caring? Or,
yes. Like
yeah.
there's like yes. Like she
And
didn't have to fucking do that.
softening the blow of the dad just walking away.
Yeah, the dad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
His dad was never sending him letters. He was so excited to receive those letters. He read them every fucking night, and then at some point he just stopped reading. Reading
Because
them.
Yeah.
The happy turn would have been, well, like, because there was a restraining order thing, so like the dad could never like be like in vicinity.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, silver lining, now the dad can come back, but finding out that like
No.
didn't even reach out to him that
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
just like, hey champ, hey, let's go, hey, wait, another cup
Yeah,
of
Nothing's
coffee.
changed.
Well, that's
And then Punpun's just like, he's acting the same. What's different? I'm different.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's this like moment of realization. And also you're right. Like it's a perfect sort of, the timing is perfect because that's when the dad tries to come back into his life and tell him like, let's go live together. And he's
And
like,
now, that was. We
Yeah.
can start over again. We can meet. We can try this all.
Why?
We can meet each other as father and son once again. And
No.
Punk's like, I want to live alone.
yeah, man.
And the dad does like, he's like, all right, well, yeah, worth a shot. Anyway, I'll go. And then you see him like clenching his fist, and like the dad does have a moment realizing like, it's too late.
It's over.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like at the door, just like on his knees, just like, why weren't you here?
Well, there is something
Yeah.
so painful about him joking. Like, I already made that joke, huh? Sorry, I'm, all right. Well, he's playing this kooky character. Like, all right, see you later. And he like walks away, and yeah, and then it just shows him like you said, either clenching his face, or I took it as almost like maybe him shaking, like he was just shaking because he was so nervous to like see his son again or be around his son again, and he was just like, and it shows him crying, and he's just like, yeah, I fucked up. The moment I will never have my son. Like it's just like it was like holy fuck, man.
Yeah, that letter shit though. I was like,
Yeah, it was rough.
because you find out like things that like, just for me in general, like your parents did for you that you had like no idea that they did for you because they just didn't. Because you're like a kid, they're not gonna fucking be like, okay, we're doing this, and like not gonna give you like meetings. Yeah. So then you find out later, and you're just like, fuck.
I didn't appreciate it.
Yeah. Or like just like things that you didn't understand and you talk shit about and you're just like, I don't fucking get it because you're a fucking kid. Like you don't, you're not supposed to get it. You don't have to get it now until later when you realize like, oh, okay.
And the weird thing is that you carry that guilt with you into being an adult, which, you know, you look at it and you do realize, or you should realize at least, that like you're a kid and no one should expect a kid to think logically or rationally. But for whatever reason, like that's not enough because, you know, you still remember having those thoughts or having those feelings and you kind of grow with them. So they become this like part of you that you like eternally feel guilty for.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's this like, again, cycle of sadness. you know?
Cycle of Sadness, our sub channel.
For sure. It's pretty crazy.
But yeah, that was another super powerful moment.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
And that was another that was another very sad moment for me. But I don't think anything was as sad as well, I guess we should talk about real quick too. She after she dies, Punpun stays at the house and is using her savings pretty much to just live there.
The uncle reveals that he knows what happened.
Right. Yeah. And then he's wearing sunglasses this whole time.
Yeah, he's a cool guy now, I guess. He needed that
he's
little...
not, because he pulls him down and he's fucking bawling.
He's a cool guy on the outside, not on the inside.
Because the whole time, that's a cool thing that they do with this character. I don't know what he's feeling. I don't know what he's going through. He's been an emotionally unstable, as the most emotionally unstable. And he's got these shades on, and I do feel that way. I'm like, oh, who the fuck does he think this cool guy
He's all
think
smoking a cigarette indoors. He's all chill
my wife
now.
fucked my nephew.
Yeah.
But
things are pretty chill right now.
But it is. I think that he does feel that it's like a give and take. Like, oh, like I said,
I think
like,
he
you
says
cheated
that.
on me, so she needed to do that as
He
well.
says, like, I can't hold that against her, can't hold it against you.
And it's like, bruh.
And then he pulls his glasses down and he's just been crying this whole time. And it's just like, oh, God. But yeah, and then, Punpun's living there. And then we see a day in the life of Punpun. It's just this whole chapter of
God damn
of him his alarm clock going his alarm clock going off, and then him just kind of
going through the motions.
Because
he's going through everything.
Yeah, people who have like super early jobs too. He's on the train and people are yawning, and he's just like everything's being described so perfectly that you can't help but think like, am I
just waking up
Just
early, going to work, going home, falling asleep, living the warehouse dog lifestyle. Yeah. Couple dogs out here wasting their time to go back to sleep so I can wake up to go to work in the morning.
We're wasting our lives. Oh, you guys heard that last part. Oh yeah, man, that was that. Just and it took its time, and the fact that it just like it took its time. It made it so much heavier.
Yeah, and then he just admits he's like, yeah, that was my day, and if nothing changes in 2 years, I'm killing myself.
But they almost say like, and this was they almost say
I
like,
think we've all had that. We've all had that discussion with ourselves.
2-year contract.
But they all say like,
fair.
At the end of the chapter, it's like this was a good day for Punpun or something like that too.
And today Punpun was all right.
Was all right, and
God
I was like,
damn.
fuck.
The only thing is, like he talks to the landlord, and I liked that the landlord was like just a chill person.
Yeah.
And that someone mentions that like you let people take advantage of you because you keep offering strangers jobs, and you keep being like, oh, I can help you out here, and it's like so many people don't pay you back, so many people just like leave, and he's like, it's got which I like that mentality of like it's not your fault if someone betrays your trust.
Yeah, it's their fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the blame game.
I love I really thought I couldn't get more shaken or feel more crazy until he turns into a fucking pyramid.
Yeah, so he achieves his second form.
Yes, he finally hits his second form, which I mean, what is? I mean, I
Is that a
understand-
reference to either the poop god or the cults thing with a pyramid?
I truly do not know.
He just woke up and he was a fucking pyramid,
Yeah.
and his little fucking smile face.
Yeah, so funny.
So funny. And then I think it's just like he's just deforming more into not a thing or like a living thing.
Yeah.
He's just
He's
becoming
becoming
a
like-
fucking pyramid.
Like less and less like recognizable.
Yeah, less and less recognizable, less and less of a real living thing. So then when they go to the bar and he meets that other character
pops
again,
back.
he pops back into being Punpun a little bit.
Because it doesn't take much for that guy to be like, all
I
right.
know. It really just takes women, dude.
Yeah, dude, he has a weakness.
Yeah. He has
Yeah.
a weakness. Yeah.
He-
Yeah,
that's-
sickness.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that
An
can make him
addiction.
feel better. I feel so horrible. Like, he just doesn't want any friends. Like, the friends are, like, so important.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he doesn't want them or he feels like he doesn't deserve them or he just doesn't feel like there's any point to having them. Like, I just, at this point in the story, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's kind of where...
yeah, well, he does. There's a big moment, too, where he does, he's on the train going through his daily routine. And after years and years and years and years and years, he sees Aiko.
Oh, yeah.
And has
That hoe.
That hoe. And has that moment on the train where he's just like kind of lets the train drive away. But then is like a little too late. He's like, fuck, I gotta go find her, and it's too late and he can't.
I don't know if you ever had that thing. Because I had a very close moment of that where you're like, you see an ex and you're like, what? And I was like in a bar and I walked down like they sent me like a friendly like playful-ish text. Like we both deleted each other's numbers, but yeah.
Playfully.
Yeah, it was just like your hair look, because the reason I have curly hair is she was like, I like curly hair. I used to have a buzz cut.
Did you get perms?
No, my hair is curly, but,
Okay.
but like
I was like, that was really confusing.
it starts curling at a certain length, and I would always cut it before it got to that length. And the only reason I have this hair is because she was like, you should grow it out so it could get curly. And so she was like, oh, I liked your hair. I'm like, oh, because this was around in there. We both go to. I walked. I was almost like, and I was like, never mind. And I just walked back inside.
Oh my
Yeah, there is that
gosh.
moment where you're like, maybe we can rekindle something.
Oh man, that stage when you're like, we just need one more grand gesture, and it'll be back to the way it was, and it never will be.
It never ever will be. But he sees her and he can't find her, and that's his motivation for even getting the studio apartment in the first place.
Yeah.
Because
God damn.
he thinks to himself,
so delusional.
well, yeah, he's like, I'm doing this kind of. He's aware at least, or someone is aware that he's doing it for her, and he has that moment when he's sliding the key in, and he's like, he's never signed a contract before, and it's just a couple lines on a piece of paper, but he never felt like more of an adult, and he's sliding the key in, and he's like, I could handle anything right now. People could make fun of me. People could talk shit to me, but I have my own place, and it's for me and it's for Aiko. And he opens up the door and he sees her like, welcome home.
He's fucked. He's fucked. He's
Well, yeah.
royally fucked.
I thought I saw it more as like he's imagining that like that's what they could have.
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
the life that it should have been. Is he would open the door and then she would be there and then they would
and
like
the
share
only
that
one he
apartment.
has to blame is himself.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it. Like, she literally
Well, I mean,
went up to him and was like,
All
yeah,
he had
I'm
to
sorry.
do was explain that his mom was in the hospital.
And even after that, he goes, I gotta go, I'm sorry. When she, like, says him that, and then he leaves. And then again, it's the fucking same thing again.
yeah.
And then also he's like living in this like small apartment and he can just hear the couple like arguing.
yeah.
That on again, off again couple.
Yeah, and he has
You!
and he has this
It's because I love you so much. Which I mean, man, I don't know if you've been in that. Like you make fun of it and then you end up in a spot where you have to yell. You're like,
Yeah.
it sucks being that guy.
And then he has that real moment where he's like,
Wow.
and I think
many things I can't relate to.
You'll never know what it's like clinging on to something that's not worth holding on to.
Yep. You just it's hot to the touch and you just keep getting burned.
You'd be surprised how long it takes for you to figure out that if it's hot, you should just let it go.
Yeah. You're the only one getting burned. The other things used to being hot. But
I'm scared to see
but
what the future holds.
There's this other moment too where
Doesn't
he's
get
like,
better.
He really
Life
realizes,
only gets worse.
and I love it, and I think that like look, I'm being very vulnerable. I feel like I've had this thought too.
Vulnerable number 3.
Vulnerable number 3. I feel
This is a combo.
I feel like I've actually genuinely had this thought. Like, like if I hear that somebody else is with somebody, or somebody else is like happy in a relationship while I'm not, and maybe this is like younger Josh. Not there's AD and there's
AD.
there's BC and then there's AD.
It's BJ.
Before Josh, BJ. I like it.
AJ.
BS. Before sobriety.
Oh yeah.
BSJ.
We can just keep it at BS.
You can cut out the J there.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's for Josh.
I've realized, like, I had that thought where, like, I hope at least that they're fucking ugly. Like, I hope that.
I get what you mean.
Right. Like, if it's someone you've been with or someone that you wanted to be with, and then they're with somebody else, or you find out, or that you hear someone else in love through a wall. When Punpun has that moment, he says verbatim, like, in that moment, Punpun hoped that they were ugly because he couldn't handle it if they weren't.
Yeah.
I relate to that.
This is kind of along the track of that, but like in a different way. Because like there was a girl I was just like obsessed with. I had like a huge crush on, and like she ended up dating a guy who like throughout all of elementary school up to high school. The thing was like we used to be like best friends, and we looked exactly like each other. Even though I wore glasses, people would confuse us with each other, and it was just like, oh, it's not even that she doesn't like the way I look. She just doesn't like me.
Yep.
It would have been better if he looked different, but it was like, oh, we famously look alike. So it's just who I am.
It's just you being you.
That's the worst feeling. He's like, at least look. Yeah, if he was more attractive, but we famously looked exactly the same, and that hurts.
It does hurt, Cody. I hurt for you.
Your shirt. Well, hey, where's the game?
I
ref?
just got that I was weird, so no one liked me.
Yeah,
I was too weird.
It took a while for me to piece together.
You were you were probably the girl who you were like the early Topanga Boy Meets World. When she was.
Well, I had like friends and stuff, but I was just like so. I don't want to say I'm different. Like I was just like out there. Like I didn't give a fuck. Like I don't know. It was weird. And guys don't like that when you're in middle school.
Really?
They want you to be like, like
I can see that.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, Megan's cute, but she's weird.
She's fucking weird.
Cool.
Yeah, something's wrong with Megan.
Yeah, it might be.
But I do want to just clarify too that kind of thought, and I feel like at least with me, I know where it comes from, and it makes me feel like I know where it comes from when Punpun feels it too. It's just like he has no self-confidence.
No,
he has no. His self-esteem is zero. That's the only place that thought can come from. Like you're so down on yourself. You hate your physical appearance so much that at least you hope that the people who are happy are ugly. At the very least,
Yeah, give me something, God.
Come on, I need one thing. And so yeah, I mean, related to that one too. But yeah, and that's basically, now we're getting towards the very end of volume, 7. And that's when the landlord takes out Punpun, has this whole conversation with him, compares him to the guy that killed himself in the apartment, telling him that he has the same
cool.
eyes. Yeah.
Nice thing to hear from your landlord.
Yeah.
You're
you have
like,
the same sadness.
Yeah, you have the same sadness, but I'm not really going to do anything about it.
You have the same dead eyes.
It's not my business.
He gives him a talking to about how like, yeah, this path you're going down to, it leads to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still a triangle. He's like, yeah, he's like this.
I love the faces. I love the faces.
Yeah,
but he convinces him to go to this bar, and they run into, what's her name again? Sachi. They run into Sachi, and she is kind of a jerk. She's reiterating the whole virgin thing again, and it's really like triggering Punpun.
That's the worst thing to say to someone in his position.
Yeah, and she's like, you're a virgin, and she's like, yeah, I bet you didn't do anything with like her sister or whatever. Like, what happened between you guys? And he's just like triggered, just like, yeah, he just smiles with the little face.
Because that was such a he thinks of that moment with her. He thinks of
that was the last time he had like interaction with a woman or a girl.
He like the three. A little snort there, huh? But yeah, he thinks of like 3 moments. I mean, he thinks of the moment with Midori. He thinks of the moment with Azusa. And
I think it's
Azusa.
no. I think I looked up her name. I think it's Yagi.
I think she. Well, I mean, she has a first and last name.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yagi Azusa.
Yeah, probably. It's got a good ring to it.
But yeah, it's her, 3 girls.
Yeah, he's
Not
just
right.
going through all of his this trauma that he's experienced, and it sets him off, and he tells her off, and he's like, you know what, you're rude, and I'm out of here. And she says, no. Yeah, no, you're super talented and you're super creative, and he gets mad because he doesn't believe her, or he's also mad because he's like, maybe that he doesn't believe her, but he's like, you're gonna find out that that's not true. You know?
Wait, I mean, yeah. I mean, whenever you're promoting something, that's got to be a fear.
Came in at the end, dude. I like it. I like it. You were pretty sensitive this entire episode, but then you got me at the end.
No, that's why when I did do stand up, I didn't tell anyone I did stand up. It would be this thing of like, one, I don't want to have that whole thing like, I'll go to a show. Like, you're not gonna go to the show.
Yeah.
I had like a full on like for 5 minutes like, it was like, just tell me your show. You're not gonna go. Don't force me to pull out my phone, give you the address, and you not show me like I was busy.
Yeah.
And then also if you tell people you do stuff, then you have to like if you tell people you do stand up, you have to be funny now.
Yeah, you have to be funny.
And I'm
all
like,
the
no,
time.
I'm just sad. On stage I'll yell and I do like I have like a persona, but not here.
Yeah, and also I don't want you to show up. I don't want you to come.
I don't want you to see the things I talk about.
Yeah, but that's also rude to tell. But they think it's rude. But to me, it's like it's gonna be more rude if you show up.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna have to
change your material.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hang out with you.
Oh, that's the worst.
And I just want to be left alone.
Yeah,
just alone and forgotten. That was.
It's really fun for me when like my whole family went to see Jackson do stand up because he has some jokes that are very sexual, but they're fake.
Are they?
They are. But it's just funny because I'm just like, my dad's in the audience and he's just like,
Megan, if it was any other person, I'd be like, yeah, that is weird. But coming from the person who talks about cum when they know their parents are on the live stream, it's a little less weird.
But it's like, it's different.
I guess it's different when they're hearing it from their significant other.
Yeah, but it's...
You know what I hate? When people will be like, I bet you have jokes about me. I'll be like, I don't think
I bet you have jokes about me. Do you write any jokes about me?
Yeah, or when they say like, I'll bet this is going to make it into one of your skits on stage.
What do you think I talk about?
Yeah.
Like multiple jobs, if anyone found out, they'd be like, man, you must have so many. Be honest, who do you joke about? You're like, I talk about myself. I don't talk about you people. I would know. This isn't my life. I just work here.
Yeah.
I don't think about you people the second I clock in.
Yeah. Barely while
I didn't have
in.
friends at work.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so. It's. I mean, like, there are levels.
They don't realize how like insulting that is to be like. So how much of your material is based on me?
He's not saying that out loud though. He's just like,
I've said that.
I don't have anything on back. He's just
I'm
thinking
the guy.
all this.
I'm the guy that'll. Yeah, I'm the guy that'll probably be like, yeah. But Cody's the guy that'll probably be like, none of it's about you.
Why would you ever think anything's about you ever? Yeah. You fucking idiot.
Which is he's a little too comes a little too strong sometimes, but it is an admirable quality.
Yeah, and then hey, look, I'm not wrong.
Sometimes you are, but most of the time you're not. Yeah.
We'll go with most of the time you're not.
But most.
Anyway,
the most is the most important part.
Where we end is Punpun gets drunk for the first time, says a bunch of embarrassing shit, and ends up getting taken back to Sachi's house. Or apartment or wherever she lives.
He wakes up. He's like, where am I? Classic.
Yeah.
And then that's where it ends.
Looking at her panties. Things get a little
Megan
sexual.
tried to skip past that part. But like she was like sleeping in a separate room. So it was just like, I'm also drunk. I'm going to crash here. I
think they're sleeping in the same room, but she was just not with him.
Oh, okay. So
it's like on the floor or something.
Oh, all right. Yeah. That's like a thing in Japan. You sleep on the floor in the living room.
Yeah, I think
their living room is their room.
Yeah, well, I mean,
in some houses, yeah.
In some houses. And look, I'm a minimalist. That sounds like, stop making fun of me for sleeping on a couch. It's a bed.
It's not a bed, and
You're a grown man. You need to get yourself. You deserve a bed, Josh.
I
don't know.
deserve it.
I don't know if you think that you don't deserve a bed. I don't know where this comes
that
from.
might
but
be part of it.
That is definitely part of it. We're getting into this now because it's actually an issue. And
Get
I
a
think that
twin mattress.
get a twin fucking bed. You deserve it.
First of all, thank you for saying that I deserve anything. What if I just started crying right now?
You kind of are.
You kind of did.
Thank you for saying I deserve anything.
I just don't get.
You just don't get why I choose to sleep on a couch?
I mean,
I maximize my efficiency. If I have a bed,
maximizing your efficiency is getting a futon, bitch.
I sleep on a couch for fear of laying in a bed all day and wasting my life away.
Laying in a bed alone.
When
When you're on a couch, you can lay on a couch alone. But it's way more sad when you do it alone in a bed.
I haven't had my own mattress since I was like a kid. Because like, oh, we're moving here. You have the old bed, all that. When I found, I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy a mattress. I'm gonna get a full size because I don't need. They're like, my friends are like, you need to get a queen because like, what if you have someone? They're like, I don't, and I won't, and it's not like a huge deal. Like I shared a twin bed and it was fine. And they're like, no, you got to get a queen. And my friend like a week later was like, I checked, and I have a full size mattress.
I how about this? I'll think about
Get
it.
a twin bed. It's enough space, and like you don't need most of a bed for anything except get a queen so you could like sadly like pat the second half. But that
and then you could come home and be like, I'm back, queen.
I like it now.
That's
like
not
it
a
now.
bad idea.
I like it now, and I'll look into it.
Okay.
I'll look into it.
But keep the couch because we need somewhere to sit.
Of course. I'll maybe I'll have it pull out of the wall or something.
A pull-out mattress.
A pull-out mattress. Maybe though. Let's not get carried away.
And with that,
we made it to the end. Thank you
Wow.
for sticking through. It was a long episode. It was one hell of a journey. You may be watching this as one long episode. You may be watching it as two
Probably
divided.
two.
Yes,
Probably two.
Most likely as two separate episodes. We talked about a lot because there's a lot to unpack here, and we want to give this series the attention and the respect that it deserves because it's a powerful story. And I kind of had a feeling this would happen. We're going to try to maybe rein it in a little bit more for the next part that we do. But let us know.
5 volumes.
Yeah, let us know what you thought about this video or these two videos, though, and we might end up splitting the next one into two. We'll just kind of play it by ear based on what you guys think and on how much you enjoyed this part of our volume done. I think we'll probably, just for time's sake, have to skip the Wonder Circle in this episode too, but we'll get back to it. We already have comments picked. Volume 1 Chen's already on top of it. But before we go, we just want to, of course, shout out our Patreon members. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the fucking best. We love every single motherfucking one of you.
Love you.
Yes. And if you guys want to be a Patreon member, don't forget you can go to patreon.com/volume1pod. New tiers and stuff coming soon. We'll update you on all that. But you've been here long enough. You listened to us long enough. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. We got to get out of here. You have an outro that's always the same and never changes?
Oh, yeah.
That's always the same.
What is it?
Tinkle, tinkle, hoy.
Yes.
Wow.
Fuck yes, dude. Yeah, there it is, Cody. Finally. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, tinkle, tinkle, hoy.